some players showed in that first half, which was catastrophic. I feel that many of us thought of that Copa America when Chile beat Mexico 7-0. Yeah, that was a quarterfinal game and not a test play, not a friendly match, but still, the difference, the gap between the two teams was absolutely alarming. But the fact that we're not surprised maybe is the worst part of it. And I mean, no one is safe here. No player, not even the manager, not even Jimmy Lozano. And I know some of the decisions and some of the players that we saw on the field tonight, maybe they were not his first choice. He was instructed by the executives of the Mexican Soccer Federation that a change was needed. Fine. You change players when you have quality players that deserve and earn a chance. Who of these new players really earned their spot or starting 11 at an important game against Uruguay, coached by Marcelo Bielsa? El Memote? Tala? What did he do to wear the national team jersey? So, I mean, with all this context, we saw it coming. Whoever didn't see it coming does not know the reality of the Mexican national team. Maybe the worst part of it all is that there's no light at the end of the tunnel, because even the players that were supposed to be regular starters aren't really that much better than the ones that played tonight.
Herc? All right, where do we start here? Here's a problem. It was the second team.
Belly goal.
Second team as you can get from Mexico. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, hell no, man, Maguire. Hell no.
Well, maybe for Uruguay.
Hell no.
14 field players for Uruguay. Marcelo Bielsa left his European
Put
players
Tamori on there.
You had players, some who play in Europe, yes. Pelestri plays at Granada, even though he's owned by United. You had some players playing in Mexico, a player playing in Brazil. This was a solid Uruguayan team, but by no means the A team that we saw plaster Argentina in Argentina. So it could have gone a lot worse had it been the A team. Why are we in this position to begin with? Why is it in a preparation year for the World Cup, you've got a tournament Copa America, it should be your dry run for the World Cup, and you're experimenting? I can't tell you how many times we've sat at the rooftops asking for Santi Jimenez, asking for Luis Malagón, and finally,
fucking
Memo
lose.
Ochoa or Henry Martin, so these guys can play, and you're going to just say Uruguay doesn't matter? Like if it's not important to have these games, like it's so easy to schedule these friendlies. You're not in World Cup qualifying. You're not going to get regular games. So when you get these games, you have to do something with it. And they didn't. And what can you say about the play on the field? Now, you're right. This tells us a lot about this Mexican national team, this player pool. When you look at this player pool, there's an evident lack of pace, intensity, conviction. Because when you look at the Uruguayans, it doesn't matter if they're second or third string players. When they go into a 50-50 ball, boom, they go into it because it's your leg or my leg, and it's damn sure not going to be my leg. That's how they're thinking about this, and you can see how afraid the Mexican players were. And what is worse,
My fucking losing.
What is worse here, Jimmy Lozano, you say, didn't pick the team? Are you leading me to believe that these players were imposed, and he's a puppet on the string for these executives? If that is the case, that is worse.
Go on, Mal, what do you think?
I mean, whoever doesn't see that, then I don't know what kind of context, more context they need of what's going on here. This is clearly Duilio Davino. This is clearly La Bomba Rodriguez, the commissioner of the Mexican Soccer Federation, imposing their will on Jaime Lozano, and that's just because Javier Aguirre asked for some time before making the decision if he's going to join as an advisor. I don't even think that Javier Aguirre has what it takes to change this very negative spiral that the national
What the
team is
fuck,
involved in.
man?
To everything that
I'm
has
gonna
said,
get kicked out the
I
Euro.
think that it was really sad to see. A lot of those players looked afraid, like they didn't belong there. If you're gonna play at this level, you at least gotta show that you belong there. And there were some players on that field that were afraid to face the looks of a Betancourt, Darwin Núñez, Jimenez, and this just speaks volumes of what's going on right now in the Mexican national team.
I was trying to think of a word strong enough, right, to describe what we just saw. And humiliation comes to mind. But there ought to be a word beyond humiliation when you're getting olayed by your own fans in effectively a home game 2 weeks before a tournament. That's like a new level of humiliation. Your own fans effectively, ironically booing you for Mexico. And we're going to pick on Jimmy Lozano, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of heat for this. But some of the individual performances, guys, here, at least from the players that matter, players you think might have a significant role in Copa America, were really disappointing. Outside of maybe Piojo Alvarado, and really there's that one moment where he creates something out of nothing with a shot off the crossbar. The other guys, Orbelin, who we've been asking to see in the midfield, where was his impact? Chino Huerta, who's supposed to be one of the next Mexicans to go to Europe, looked nowhere on that level. Arteaga, who just came back from Europe, looked nowhere on that level. The right side for Uruguay in this game, I mean, it was a free pass and a speed pass is that. You look around at the rest of that 11, Edson Alvarez, he's the captain. He's the guy playing in the Premier.
Fuck!
He's the guy that gave up the terrible pass on the second goal and then looked like a ghost after the third goal. So the guys that matter in this lineup, sure, we can pick on Rangel. He shouldn't have been in here, right? I mean, he's got, what, 23 First Division appearances, and we're putting him in a game against Uruguay. I don't know, Mal, what I'm more upset with Jimmy Lozano here. You know, the lineup, because, yeah, the players let us down. That's not the first time it's happened. The lineup here feels like a missed opportunity because of some of the guys who did play. But then I got to say this, at halftime, when you're down 3-0, and Herc mentioned it, there was like 4 dudes on the Uruguayan bench. There's 10 freaking players on the Mexican bench. Make a change. He didn't do anything at halftime. He again...
Bro, come on. Fool, man.
Fourth goal fall, and then finally in minute 55 brings on some changes. This is who Jimmy Lozano is as a manager. You say the players are scared. Sometimes now I feel like he's scared. He's scared to make the change. Maybe it's a lack of experience, but I don't see him getting that experience in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, here's the question. Who needs more experience at this moment, the players or the manager, right? I heard a comment by someone saying when Jimmy Lozano turned to talk to his assistant...
What the fuck? How did he be ready?
Maybe he should turn to Marcelo Bielsa and ask him a question, right? That's not bad.
What the hell?
So it is... we can go on and on and on. That's how bad it was. But to me...
Bro, what the fuck?
Right? Big picture. This is a wasted opportunity.
Damn, I did beat her, bro.
Was sitting on a bench and was good to go for 10 minutes. Was he good to go for 45 minutes? If we made such a big deal about who's going to be the goalkeeper in Copa America and maybe the 2026 World Cup, why are you not playing Angel Malagón in this game? I know they're playing Brazil next, but it's not like you have this kind of games regularly, every international break. So make the best of it. And at this point, I'm very concerned with the fact that Jimmy Lozano is showing his true colors in terms of his inexperience. Edson Alvarez has been profoundly criticized over the past 90 minutes, and rightfully so for his performance. Now, the things that Jimmy Lozano is asking from Edson Alvarez is like asking and
Fuck! Ah, shit.
to make some tacos for him. Edson
Tacos.
Alvarez is not the
Tacos? Ah, fuck.
the ball and start creating in the build-up. He's a very good defender, but that's not the way he plays at West Ham United. And the fact that Jimmy Lozano insists that every single attack starts with Edson Alvarez, that puts the whole team...
Bro, what the fuck? How did he take the ball and move forward?
situation.
Fuck out of here, man.
Mistakes were converted into goals. So the fact that Jimmy Lozano insists in things like that leads me to believe that it is time now for either Javier Aguirre to come and take the team, or Duilio Davino or whoever is in charge to realize that Jimmy Lozano maybe is not the guy for the next 2 years leading this team.
Hey, Herc, real quickly here. If you were in charge of FMF, would you make a change before the tournament?
I think they already did. There's no way you bring on Javier Aguirre as an advisor to not be ready for the trip.
Fuck.
Now, I apologize for interrupting you, Mal, where I thought you were going with this, because I don't know where you saw it, but I was watching the transmission with Osvaldo Sanchez on TUDN
Here in the U.S., yeah.
here in the U.S., and they looked over while Jimmy Lozano is getting beat up, while the Mexican Mexican national is getting beat up, he looks over to his assistant coach, Ryota Nishimura, and he says, it's not like you're asking an experienced assistant coach who's been there, done that in this moment, what do you think we should do? He's asking Ryota Nishimura.
Oh, okay.
And Ryota Nishimura is a guy that Jimmy Lozano met in a foreign exchange coaching program with little to no experience himself. So I go back to what you just mentioned. I think the change has already been made. I think this whole Javier Aguirre on as an advisor is a break in case it hits the fan. I think we're getting close. And guess what? Javier is here. Javier, just take over for this tournament. Just do it for this tournament, so to go. And Javier right now is no longer with Mallorca. I think sooner rather than later, we're going to break that glass.
Okay, so at one point, Marcelo Bielsa was linked to the Mexican job, okay, which makes his comments even more interesting. Now, these comments are not from post-game, obviously. This is pre-game. Maybe he's singing a very different tune about Mexico having just beat them 4-0 in Denver, Colorado. But here's what Bielsa had to say about El3 and the state of the Mexican national team right now. Gerardo Martino's process, sir, seemed valuable to me. But under this new process, with this new twist that has been given to America, it seems to me that they have enough players today to imagine a squad that can go toe-to-toe with anyone.
Bro, am I gonna make it out the group?
Like a good time for a get lost. Now, what do you think of Bielsa's comments? And maybe beyond that, Mexico's chances now at Copa America coming off this massive L.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of things that.
Bro, why the fuck? When did he touch the ball?
Different. One of those is my love for Marcelo Bielsa, and I know Herc is not the biggest fan of Marcelo Bielsa.
Tell me trophies, baby.
In this case, I would say he's being smart. He's being politically correct. He was not going to be. I mean, there was no point for Marcelo Bielsa being honest and saying, "Listen, this team is crap, right? They're just not."
Listen, I got 14 field players, and we're going to beat them 4-0. Right.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I think that says more than the words he expressed during that press conference. I think Marcelo Bielsa was just being a good dude and not trying to expose maybe what he already knew. That he was gonna face a team with a lot of vulnerabilities, with a lot of weaknesses.
Bro, why is everything just going in?
Weak spots, and that he was ready to explode those. But I mean, to your second part of the question, even from the moment the Copa America draw was known.
Fuck.
I think we all had our doubts, right? Is Mexico gonna really advance in this group? I'm not sure. And now I have even more doubts than 6 months ago, because you're talking about teams like Ecuador, who actually, I mean, I think they represented themselves really well during the World Cup. We all know what Venezuela has been doing recently, and it's a team that always keeps making a lot of headaches. So at this moment, Seth, if you ask me, how confident are you that Mexico is going to advance in this group? Not confident at all. I think Mexico can win all of those games, but at the same time, I feel that Mexico has a chance to lose all of those 3 games.
We overreacting, Herc?
I agree with Mao. I think he's being politically correct. You have to go back and do your homework. He was almost going to be part of this Mexican national team program. Jesus Martinez, the owner of Grupo Pachuca, the Pachuca owner and León ownership group, he had him on a platter for the Mexican Federation, and they went a different route. They went with Diego Coca. They pulled the wool over everybody's eyes and went a complete 180 of where they were going to go. So why would Marcelo Bielsa burn a bridge here? I agree with Mao. He's being politically correct. Now, this came out, the group. We were in Columbus. We were in Columbus, and I immediately said, this isn't that easy. It's not that easy. Listen, Ecuador is a very young, very well-coached team. The ex-Qatar coach, the Spanish coach, Felix Sanchez, he is there now. This is the same Qatar team started with negative points to kick off the World Cup.
Bro, come on!
They are no longer with negative points. They're actually well on their way.
Come on, bro. What the fuck is going on?
This Uruguay team that leads World Cup qualifying, its only loss. It wasn't Brazil. It wasn't Argentina, who they smacked around in Argentina. It was this Ecuador team, 2-1. So this team could give anybody fits. Yes, the Mexican national team fits. And yeah, the talent that Venezuela has up top, they can give anybody in Copa America fits. And Jamaica's an enigma. I never know what to expect from my Jamaicans. But they are.
Fuck, what the fuck?
Mal said it right. This team could win the group. I could see that.
Mexican, there's a chance they go out. There's like a 10 to 20% chance. Maybe it's being a prisoner of the moment, but right now, based off this performance that we just saw, it feels way more like 40 or 50% that Mexico will be going home in the group phase of the Copa America, of essentially a home Copa America, which the Federation and everybody else seems to be kind of okay with what they're telling us via the preparation and the roster for this. The Copa America here really seems to be taking kind of a back seat
These
for
weren't the
Mexico.
starters, though, Seth. These weren't the, you and Mao are getting
Santi
a little...
Jimenez was just on his honeymoon. I get it. There were some guys who were just coming from
Both of you
Conca
guys, I
champions.
understand. Listen, I'm with you guys. You got to hammer him here, but also like these weren't the starters. And Mao,
Hey, Edson's a starter.
okay, yeah, but he's an eagle surrounded by chickens. That's what's going on here. Okay, and he had a bad day because he's surrounded with players who had a bad day, who didn't want the ball, who were scared out of their minds, out of their wits. Mao's not gonna let me lie here, and Seth, you're not gonna let me lie here. How many times have you seen an underwhelming Mexico team play Brazil and play lights out? How many times have we seen that? Can you tell me that this Brazilian team, I know the roster looks very, very loaded, especially up front.
This Mexico can't go toe-to-toe with anybody.
Hold on, that's what we've said about the Mexicos of the past when it comes to Brazil. All I'm saying is, for whatever reason, a team that lets them play when it's not gritty, when it's not transition, when it's
Fuck,
not...
dude.
Living on the past with that, man. This Mexico is incapable
We
of
could say
doing
the
that.
same thing about Brazil. We could say the same thing about Brazil. All I'm trying to tell you is, this
Mexico
wasn't
can't
easy.
go to toe-to-toe with anybody, and I tell you what, they're not physically gifted enough to even be pragmatic against somebody and kick them. I mean, there was a moment in the game today, they should have just started kicking Uruguay. They couldn't catch the Uruguay players
want
to
to tell
kick
me what
them.
the score was last time Brazil played Mexico and Texas?
Did it matter?
I'm just asking, does this one matter? I'm asking.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks from a major
I'm asking.
tournament.
No,
It was
but
two
I
weeks
mean,
from- you were 2 weeks from a major
here's-
tournament back then as
but
well.
Herc,
Copa America, that you lost 7-0 against Chile. Come on,
Fuck yeah.
man. All I'm
Fuck
saying
yeah,
is-
fuck yeah.
Look, there's a few things here.
Here's the biggest difference. Here's the biggest difference and why I cannot agree with you that even though Mexico, whenever they have played Brazil, sometimes, right, they will play really well, out of their minds, and beat Brazil, or get a good result against Brazil. Good. That has happened. But previous generations, those were generations with way better quality of play than what we have right now.
The Brazilian
Right?
or the Mexican?
You knew there were good players at the time by the Mexicans. This is probably the weakest generation
No,
we've
it's not
seen
probably,
of
it
a
is.
Mexican
It's the
national
worst.
team in the
So
past.
why are you
Alright,
convinced they
in
can
the
go
past
toe-to-toe with
30 years,
anybody?
Because I saw them go toe-to-toe with a team that dismantled the United States men's national team in Germany. What I'm trying to tell you is... Fine, fair. I understand what you guys are saying. 100%. But why is it that they play up to the level of a Germany team that humiliated U.S. men's national team in Hartford, and they can't play up to the level of one of the weakest Brazil teams that we've seen in our lifetime?
Listen. If that friendly is an indicator of how Mexico is going to play in the Copa America, more power to them. I hope you're right, Herc.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I said Brazil. I didn't say Copa America, excuse me.
But
I said the
hanging
style of play
on
of Brazil.
to that Mexico performance against Germany from last fall.
Fair. I'm not hanging on to it. I'm just saying
Right.
the style of play is something that for Mexico, they've historically played well against that style.
No lo menosprecie a Brasil, porque Brasil é Brasil Tudo bem, muchachada? Como anda? Meninos e meninas, patricinhos e patricinhas, está começando mais um vídeo aqui no meu canal. E vamos falar hoje, patrícios, obviamente, de pré-partido de Brasil versus equipe do Thiago 8, que vai ser amanhã, sábado, às 22
Sábado.
horas. E, patrícios, obviamente, claramente, fisiologicamente, que estes jogadores vão representar o Brasil não somente no partido amistoso de manhã, mas também na Copa América. Já saiu lá a numeração de todos. E acá também vou cantar para vocês, Patrícios, os 11 ideais que eu penso que vão jogar o partido de manhã. Dorival Júnior todavía não confirmou o equipo, seguramente antes do partido vai confirmar, pero bueno. Estava aqui. Vamos aqui, ó. Pra mim, manhã, vale acordar que Vinícius Júnior, Rodrigo e
What the
Eder
fuck?
Militão
What the...
frente a México
Ah, no.
vão ser preservados por a parte física.
What the
claramente,
fuck, dude?
Jogaram na final e ganharam de Champions League. Assim que em arco vai ser Alisson Becker, Bueno, Danilo na lateral direita, tá? O equipe de manhã que vai entrar contra México. Marquinhos, e Bremer, tá? Marquinhos e Bremer vão ser a dupla central, em minha opinião. Bueno, o Wendel na lateral esquerda. Os meio-campo, vamos aqui, cadê? João Gomes. João Gomes vai ser
Gomes.
Bruno Guimarães. O Gabriel Magalhães não sei se joga amanhã também, porque ele tá voltando de lesão, senão seria o Gabriel Magalhães e não o Bremer, mas eu acho que é o Bremer, tá? Então, no meio campo temos João Gomes, Bruno Guimarães e Paquetá. E o tridente vai ser, Patrícios, Rafinha Caipirinha, de extremo direito, de extremo esquerdo, Martinelli foi confirmado hoje. Martinelli e Alisson foram confirmados apenas. Na entrevista de Dorival foram confirmados Martinelli e Alisson. E de novo eu sei que é muito chico, todavia não confirmou. Vai ser, parece, Hendrick, que tá com a camisa 9, hermanos. Rodrigo com a 10. Mira só as numerações do Brasil acá. Bueno, temos aí de delantera também Evanilson, que é um jogador de Porto. Não creio que Evanilson entre amanhã, porque não sei, Patrício, é a primeira vez que convoco o Chico, não sei se vão já pôr ele de cara assim, Evanilson. Bueno, assim que uma lástima, né, o que tá passando, né, vai jogar amanhã, e é a obrigação de Brasil, Patrícios, ganhar esse partido amanhã e ganhar com autoridade, porque vamos ver, o equipe do Uruguai com meio pelo ganhar do equipe do México. Obviamente México, não sei quem é o jogador titular, não sei quem é reserva, simplesmente
Bro, come on, touch the ball.
qual equipe do México é o equipe verdadeiro, porque me dijeron que não tava todos os titulares, blá blá blá blá blá blá blá blá. Pero se você agarra aqui o equipe do México, né, Patrícios, vós ver que não tem nomes que tu diga, uau, né? Vós ver aqui no partido em frente ao Uruguai, o México, arqueiro Rangel, né, não sei se o Ochoa está convocado, está alienado para jogar na Copa América, pero bueno. Garcia, Guzmán, Orozco, Arteaga, Álvares, Beltrán, Alvarada, Pineda, Huerta e Martínez. Nenhum jogador. Cara, sinceramente, o México deixou de fabricar alguns jogadores.
Fuck, dude, come on.
Quando era filho, Rafa Marques, Blanco, Chicharito, Giovanni, Guardado. O próprio Ochoa, que brilhava nas Copas do Mundo 2006, 10 e 2014.
2006.
E levaram,
Bro, where the fuck is the goalie going?
Número 4 de Uruguai é meio pelo acá, né? Uruguai aqui que uma equipe alternativa, alguns jogadores faltando, como Pajarito Valverde, o próprio Araújo.
Bro, come on, dude. How the fuck are they taking the ball?
E levar hat-trick de Darwin Nunes, que de 10 remate no arco, ele acerta uma, é que vós ver que México está mal mesmo, de verdade, mas México não está bem. A parte disso, Patrício, não estou menosprezando a Uruguai, mas de verdade o México hoje está Venezuela, porque Venezuela para mim está melhor jogando futebol que México. Oi, México está a nível de Bolívia, hermanos. Ganharam de 1-0 de Bolívia e ainda comemoraram, celebraram ainda, como se tivesse ganhado de Brasil, de Argentina, hermano. Por favor,
That's outside.
É a quarta potência de Sudamérica, segundo em los libros de Mike Máquina del Mal? Será? Parece que não, Patrício, parece que não, de verdade. Então, não sei se vai ser este equipe que vai entrar, né, amanhã em frente a Brasil. Parece que não, parece que penso eu que é outra equipe, penso eu que tem outros jogadores aí que
Jogadores?
para Brasil, porque
What the
se
fuck?
Uruguai
Shit.
puso 4, que o Uruguai é hijo de Brasil há 20 anos e ganhou um partido porque do pior Brasil. Imagina Brasil agora com todos esses jogadores, com Dorival Júnior que organizou o equipe, porque venimos de ganhar amistosos de Inglaterra e empatamos com a Espanha porque não havia VAR, porque senão teríamos ganhado de Espanha, um roubo total lá já, pero é amistoso, é amistoso. O incrível é que, né, os uruguaios falavam que eu celebrava amistoso. Porque o Patrício tá celebrando amistoso. E eu celebrando amistoso jogado com Inglaterra e com Espanha. Agora eles celebram um amistoso ganhado.
Fuck yeah, boy.
México, hermanos. Eu vejo o Guille todo emocionado, lo fábrica.
Gay ass fucking team, boy. Gay ass fucking win. I take that shit.
México é mais morto que Bolívia.
Mais morto.
Oi, Venezuela joga melhor que México, hermanos. Oi, Equador joga melhor que México. Já se foi o tempo que México era um equipo que
That was fucking insane.
le batacava, le metia gol e le ganava a los equipos menores de Sudamérica, que eram considerados menores e que são, né? Equador, Venezuela, a Bolívia ganhou apenas de 1-0. Ou seja, vos para analisar e ver que, para mim, México se vai em fase de grupos. Com toda a sinceridade, e pelo futebol que está jogando Venezuela atualmente, o Equador tem tudo para suceder. Tem tudo para suceder isso. Veremos, porque a competência, obviamente, é distinta de um amistoso, mas vós ver que o México não está preparado para jogar a Copa América. E amanhã na Brasil.
I'm already out. Fuck.
6-5-0.
I just started this shit.
No mínimo, eu sei que o Brasil não vai jogar Vinícius, nem Rodrigo, né? Não vão jogar, e nem Militão por questões físicas, né? Mas o Brasil, mesmo assim, tem grandes jogadores aí. E que amanhã é o dia de Brasil mostrar o porquê está chegando na Copa América como um dos candidatos. Não favorito, porque eu creio que favorito é a Argentina, que é atual campeão mundial, que é atual campeão da Copa América, que é atual campeão da finalíssima e que já tem um equipo praticamente armado, né? De los demais, está adelante de los demais equipos de Sudamérica. Então, para mim, a Argentina, a parte de ter Messi aí, que vai estar aí, e Brasil não tem Neymar, obviamente isso não quer dizer nada, porque o Brasil já ganhou Copa América sem Neymar. Brasil já ganhou Copa América sem Ronaldo Fenômeno em 2007, sem Ronaldinho Gaúcho, sem Kaká, sem jogadores que já foram estrelas em Brasília, já foram super craques. Então,
Super
nunca se
craques.
pode menosprezar a Brasil. Eu vejo muita gente menosprezando a Brasil por o momento que o Brasil está passando. Pero agora vai começar uma Copa América e tudo pode passar. O caminho de Brasil seria o caminho mais difícil que da Argentina. O que vai decidir, eu acho, a final, porque eu a Argentina já está na final. E o perro ladrando aí, bem na hora que estou gravando, hermanos. Porque eu acho assim, Patrícios, que claramente o partido vai ser decidido a final se não passar nada, se Brasil não petear ou não passar nada, se Brasil jogar em sério, vai ser decidido entre Uruguai e Brasil para chegar a esta final. Tá tudo escrito para ser assim, mas olvidamos que tem Colômbia, olvidamos que tem outros equipos que podem chegar.
Bro, come on! It's your fucking pose, bro.
A favorita é a Argentina, depois vem o Brasil como candidato e depois vem o Uruguai. Bueno, então se amanhã é um partido fácil para o Brasil. Se o Brasil não ganha, sinceramente te digo, vai ganhar se não ganha de México, vai ganhar de quem, irmão? Desse México, não desrespeitando a meus amigos mexicanos, pero este México, Brasil no mínimo tem que golear, irmão. Não tem que ganhar de 1 ou 2, tem no mínimo que golear. Não sei se vai ser o mesmo equipo, alguém deixe nos comentários, não sei se vai ser o mesmo equipo de México que jogou em frente ao Uruguai, né? De verdade, esse equipo que jogou contra o Uruguai, eu não sei se os mexicanos subestimaram a Uruguai, puseram tudo aí a meio pelo, pero levaram um baile borbosa dentro de sua casa, né? Brasil, que está acostumado a ganhar do Uruguai também dentro de sua casa, pôs o 4 em 2010, 4-1 em Montevideo, em 2016 Neymar picando por arriba, pôs o 4-1 também em Uruguai, em Montevideo. Então Brasil é muito mais que o Uruguai.
Oh, come on, that was them. What the
Se o
fuck?
Brasil se encaixar e jogar o futebol que o Dorival planeou em frente à Inglaterra, em frente à Espanha, Brasil atropeja México. Brasil atropeja. Eu não quero mufar, mas eu sou realista, irmão. Este México não vi fazendo nada de importante, de diferente, futebolisticamente todos perdidos na cancha, não tem tática, não atacam, não tem um jogador que desequilibra, porque antes nós via que tinha Chicharito, não sei, tinha Giovanni, que era um bom jogador, antes, épocas atrás tinha o Blanco, que é um goleador, tinha Rafa Marques para dar uma sustentação aí nos defensores, porque os defensores são na avenida. Obviamente que o Brasil tampouco de lateral, digo, mas de defensor estamos bem agora. Temos Magalhães, temos Bremer, temos Éder Militão, Marquinhos, que está aí meio pelo, e temos Beraldo. Temos uma gama de defensores que estão bem, né? Então, eu creio que pode suceder de Brasil amanhã aplicar uma goleada épica em México, pero obviamente nunca menosprezando a equipe de México, né, que tem história também no futebol, mas que nos dias de hoje está morto. né? Tem a história no sentido de Norte América, né? Digo, a história do México em Norte América é o selecionado mais grande de Norte América, mais que o equipo de Katy Perry, que é os Estados Unidos. Mas também temos que acordar que os Estados Unidos le tem de hijo, né? Os Estados Unidos le madreia fácil a México. E o partido dos Estados Unidos vai ser mais difícil para Brasil que do México amanhã. Não sei. A não ser que amanhã os mexicanos deixem a sangre na cancha. Joguem o que tem que jogar, porque todos que quando jogam com o Brasil deixam a vida. Deixam a vida, porque o Brasil é pentacampeão mundial. É o único do mundo. Obviamente que jogaram, acho, creído com o Uruguai. E terminaram levando um bojaço na cara. Né? E obviamente que amanhã eu creio que neste partido o México vai entrar mais prendido, mais aceso para não levar
Dude, what is this passing?
goleada, porque se entrar apagado como entrou em frente ao Uruguai contra o Brasil, com a delanteira que tem o Brasil, com Martinelli, com Hendrick, com Rafinha, isso que não vai jogar Vinícius Júnior e nem Rodrigo, se come um baile borboso, meus amigos mexicanos. Vamos esperar o partido de manhã, porque o partido se joga em La Cancha, obviamente, não vou menosprezar México, pero México hoje pode considerar que está a nível de Bolívia, a nível, não sei, de 3, 4 anos atrás de Venezuela, porque Venezuela hoje tá jogando bem, né? A Venezuela não é um equipo grande, mas tá jogando melhor que México, tá mais ordenado, taticamente, jogadores buenos como jogadores que rompem na linha de 5 como Soltedo na máquina aí em Venezuela. Então, ojos México, ojos com essa Copa América que parece que vai ser a pior Copa América de México na história. Mira que México, se você agarrar o historial, né, Patrício, tem uma história buena, assim, coerente, digamos, não buena, coerente em Copas América, né? A última, a 2016 também, levou uma boa época, mas tem até uma história assim coerente do que é, né, de grande em Norte América, porque aí vós vê e mede, né, vós acaba medindo.
Bro, come on, I was ordenando os balões. Fuck.
Como que se diz, menos, né, menos técnica, menos futebol e menos jogadores, né, que a Comebol, né? E eu não digo solamente de Brasil, Argentina e Uruguai, eu digo de outros jogadores. O Equador tem aí Moisés Caicedo, tem Ener Valencia, tem Incapié, né? O que eu digo, jogadores, equipos menores de Sudamérica, hoje tem mais equipe que esse México que eu não conheço um jogador aqui, Patrício, com todo respeito aos mexicanos, pero eu não conheço um jogador aqui que jogou esse partido em frente ao Uruguai. Né? E os uruguaios celebrando como se tivera ganhado de Brasil e Argentina. Hermanos, os uruguaios, o Guige, hermano, isso uma foto, pus uma foto minha, né? Que ganhou de Brasil e o resultado, pus uma foto de La Cobra, que ganhou de Argentina e o resultado, e agora pus uma foto com o Mike e o resultado ganhando de México. Como que celebrou assim, de uma forma assim que eu nunca vi em minha vida, né? Um partido amistoso, inclusive quando eu celebrei ganhar de Inglaterra, os uruguaios veniam e me atiravam. Tá celebrando amistoso, mas eu tô celebrando com Inglaterra, que pelo menos é campeão mundial, vocês estão celebrando com México, hermanos. Com México, e ainda se for o México de 2006, o México de 2014, ou de 18, que tinha aí alguns jogadores melhores, bem, tudo bem, pero estamos falando de um México aí totalmente deteriorado, hermano. Quem conhece esses jogadores acá? Pineda, Alvarado, Álvares, solamente os mexicanos, Patrício, com todo respeito, esses jogadores não passaram a fronteira acá, acá para nós outros de Comebol e nem Europa, entendes? Então, obviamente, eu creio que falta aí alguns jogadores. O Edson Álvares, bueno, é um que podemos, eu creio que é o único que eu conosco de aí, pero é tudo meio pelo esse jogador, se não para baixo de meio pelo, hermanos, ou seja, são jogadores praticamente, cara, não sei como vão competir a Copa América, com todo respeito. Mas amanhã, Patrício, se espera um partido, eu espero um partido bueno, né, por parte de Brasil, não sei de México, eu espero um partido bueno, né. Brasil, já vou repetir, vai com Alisson Becker, creio eu, de defensores Bremer e Marquinhos, né? Laterais vem com Danilo, lateral esquerda vem com Wendel, meio campo vem com Bruno Guimarães, com Paquetá, Bruno Guimarães, Paquetá e João Gomes de Wolfsburg, E o tridente, como não vai jogar Vinícius Júnior, e Rodrigo e Éder Militão, né? Vai ser extremo esquerdo Martinelli, de Arsenal. O 9 vai ser Hendrick. E a esquerda, eu creio que vai ser, o extremo esquerdo vai ser Rafinha Caipirinha. Então, com esse equipo aí, eu creio que o Brasil goleia. Com esse equipo que estou vendo acá de México, os nomes que tem em Brasil, Brasil goleia fácil, soleia é fácil, né? Mas, volto a repetir, o futebol te propõe coisas surpreendentes. Pode ser que, não sei, Brasil jogue mal, como pode ser que o Brasil jogue muito bem e ele rompa total a México e ele põe a mais do que já está. Entendes? Então, amanhã é um partido que eu não considero importante, mas é um partido para ver como o Brasil chega para essa Copa América. É um preparatório, né, Patrícios? Obviamente não quero dizer nada, mas eu acho que o Brasil amanhã tem que fazer ver. O Brasil tem que chegar amanhã e dizer: estou acá, hermanos. Então, amanhã é o dia de Brasil mostrar que vino para quedar, que volveu à realidade. Assim que eu estou confiante porque Dorival Júnior é um técnico competente, muito melhor que Diniz. Na época que o Uruguai ganhou de Brasil era Diniz. Com todo respeito, Diniz é um tremendo DT, ganhou com o Fluminense, mas não se focou 100% em Brasil. E vós vê o Dorival enfocado 100% no Brasil, com jogadores corretos, fazendo uma alineação que para muitos é uma merda, mas para mim é uma alineação que joga em equipe, porque eu já vi Brasil ganhar com equipos inferiores, hermanos, de
What the hell is the difficulty on this shit?
Argentina, e com meio campos pior que este.
I'm out the
Vou
fucking
mostrar aqui
thing.
agora para vocês. Brasil e Argentina 2007, hermanos. Ou seja, mira, aí tá. Mira isso, ó. Olha a equipe do Brasil. Doni, né? Alex e Juan, defensores estava bem. Gilberto e Maico, estava bem. São defensores bons. Mas aí já empieza meio campo. Mineiro, Josué, aí vem o Elano, aí vem Júlio Batista, aí vem Wagner Love, mano. E o Robinho.
Bro, legendary
E olha
defending.
o equipo da Argentina que esse Brasil ganhou. Olha aí, Riquelme, Tevez e Messi, mano. 10 cracaço, hermanos. Veron.
No wonder I couldn't beat this shit. This is fucking legendary.
Gabriel Milito, Ayala,
So I didn't even have a chance.
Abondonzera. Então, o que digo para vós, hermano? Que vou subestimar Brasil? Não.
Let me try again. Let me try one class.
Hermanos. Teremos na história de futebol. No momento que o Brasil estava mais inscrito, foi o momento que o Brasil ganhou. Então, esse partido de Brasil amanhã no México é um partido para o Brasil também desarrollar seu esquema tático, né? Principalmente o Dorival Júnior plantear seu estilo de jogo, né? Já que teve só apenas 2 partidos amistosos com Inglaterra e Espanha e tudo bons resultados. Eu creio que o resultado é bom para dar um up para o Brasil e o futebol do Brasil automaticamente vai aparecer com o tempo, a melhora, o coletivo, o individualismo. Então o Brasil tem que ter seu tempo. Tampouco tenho que exigir que amanhã no Brasil haga bonito, jogue bonito, que dê gambete, que dê canho, que haga magia. Não, para um pouco, hermanos. Para um pouco. O Brasil está em reconstrução e tudo tem seu tempo. Só que o Brasil está no caminho certo. Para mim está no caminho certo já com a alineação que o Brasil armou. Para muitos pode ser uma merda, mas para mim está bueno o Brasil. Para mim está bueno. Meio campo, os 4 meio campo do Brasil jogam na Premier League. Só que necessitamos, obviamente, que esses meio campo joguem para os delanteiros, que é o melhor setor que temos. Entendeu? Então amanhã, para mim, Patrícios, o partido vai ser 4-1 para o Brasil. Não vai ser 4-0, pode ser até mais, como pode ser até menos. Vai depender de como o Brasil vai entrar, se vai entrar com a marcha 1, 2, 3 ou 4, né? Vai depender dos jogadores. Eu creio que se o Brasil entrar com a marcha 4 já está... México se come como 5 ou 6. O que você pensa, Patrício, desse partido de manhã? Eu vou estar reaccionando, vou estar fazendo em vivo, assim que... Se você gostou do vídeo, Patricinhos, me ajude, me apoie, deixe o like, Patrícios, e... siga-me se todavia não me segue. E o mais importante, ative o timbre para mais conteúdo, porque amanhã estaremos acá. Vamos? Será? Tranquilo seria assim, não.
Hello and welcome
Welcome back to the Give and Go. I'm your co-host Reynoso here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, guys?
Folks, the day has finally arrived. We will be covering Copa America, Euros, and the OFC Nations Cup in the next 41 days. We're going to go absolutely crazy. So make sure to comment, like, and subscribe to the channel to keep up with all of our content, because we're going to be covering all these teams in every single game that happens this summer. I cannot be more excited, and it starts with the Euros in Germany.
Yeah, honestly, I can't believe it's here. I've been waiting for this moment since the final whistle blew at the World Cup. Next thing I was really excited for internationally, honestly, was the Euros, just because there's so many narratives to look out for. And we're going to go in depth in each specific story. There's England, there's France, there's a feisty Portugal side, there's the reigning champions in Italy. Hosts Germany? Are you kidding me? What a story that's gonna be. But then there's some other really interesting teams that are going to make their appearances known, like Hungary, Austria, for example. There's just so many teams that play high quality football. There's going to be a jam-packed summer in Europe.
The Euros are just 11 days away. 24 teams will be competing for the biggest international trophy in Europe. And the last thing to preface is that 4 out of 6 third-place teams will be going through to the round of 16. So that's something to note while we do these group previews. But bro, let's start with Group A, where host nation Germany is matched up with Switzerland, Scotland, and Hungary. How do we want to start this, bro? I'm eager to get a lot of these takes out, but do we want to start with a really hot take that I have brewing up, or should we go into it? Should we ease into this conversation, bro? Should we? Tell me what to do here, man.
Dude, I want to start with Germany. We have to, bro.
Okay.
Hosts of the Euros. And just fun little facts here. This is actually Germany's first time hosting the Euros since they reunified the west and the eastern portions of the country. Obviously, they hosted the 2006 World Cup as a reunified Germany, but beyond that, they had games in Munich at last time out's European Euros, and then West Germany hosted back in the 80s. So honestly, this is a really special moment for the entire country of Germany, as there will be games played in East Germany hosting the Euros. I'm really excited about that.
What is it? 18
Red card, fuck, dude. Ya valí pija, bro.
Incredible job hosting. I'm
Se ni
excited to
pasó
see the
nada.
final at Olympic Stadium once again, one of my favorite stadiums in world football. Germany arrives into this tournament ranked 16th in FIFA's rankings, coached by the one and only Julian Nagelsmann. Which version of Germany will show up, bro? That's my biggest question going into this team, because we've seen them go through some very high highs and some very interesting low lows. You have the return of Toni Kroos as he's looking to close out his career here at home
Fuck
for
yeah.
this tournament. And then you have a jam-packed squad, bro, with so many names. Kimmich, Gundogan, Musiala, Toni Kroos, Füllkrug, Florian Wirtz, Rudiger, Sané, Müller, just to name a few. This team is stacked, bro, and at their best, they could be a contender for the title.
I asked myself the exact same question. Which version of Germany are we ultimately going to see? If you look at last year's Germany results, it's horrendous, bro. They lost 5 of those 9 games in 2023. They only won 2 of them. They were in absolute shambles. And when you look at all of their past performances since they won it in 2014, Germany really haven't showed up, bro.
Major tournaments?
Major tournaments? It's been atrocious. Dude, it's been worse than Mexico. Their transitionary phase from that golden generation.
Bring them up, bro.
I'm trying to relate to the American people here. And if it's been bad for Mexico, bro, it's been actually worse for Germany. Seriously, because 2 group stage exits at the last 2 World Cups. Group stage exits. We're talking about one of the most storied, most glorified teams in international football. They can't get out of the fucking group stage. It's kind of pathetic when you really think about it. Now, obviously, you know, if you've been watching, you shouldn't be too surprised by that. And then the last time out Euros, they had a measly round of 16 exit. So Germany have severely underwhelmed for the last 8 years, and it's just so non-German of them to actually do that. But here's what's crazy, man. March happened. March 2024, and all of a sudden, Germany's energies are completely different, man.
That's what they're trying to tell me. That's what they're trying to tell me.
And the thing is, I think I kind of believe it, but you know why? I think I'm buying in. Here's why. I think in those friendlies that happened 2 months ago, the German team realized one
Fuck
thing.
yes.
That they're going to be hosts of the Euros. And they looked around the camp and they're like, oh, we have some of the best players in the world. We can't and we're not going to miss this opportunity.
Like a reality check.
It was a reality check.
They woke up.
Then Julian Nagelsmann also makes that same realization. He's like, I'm a good coach. I have some of the best players at my disposal. Let's play fluid football. Let's bring Toni Kroos, a Real Madrid legend who just won the Champions League. Let's bring him back into the fray. Everyone else is in such good form realistically at club level. It'd be so dramatic and disastrous if Germany don't have a good Euros. I think they've realized what is at stake, and I do believe that they're ultimately going to show up.
They're contenders. They're contenders. I cannot deny that, and I don't think many people can, because you look at the names, it truly is contender worthy.
Yeah.
I want to pose this question to the audience. Which version of Germany do you think will show up? I want to know what you guys think, get you guys involved in this conversation. I agree, though. The past recent results that we've seen from them have been really impressive, and the host factor is the biggest one. Given that it's a continental tournament, we just saw Qatar host the AFC Asian Cup and win it, and we just saw Ivory Coast, bro. Ivory Coast lift the AFCON to win it as they hosted the tournament as well. I mean, it's in the works, bro, for Germany, and you could say the USA, but Germany for sure looking to do something special in their home country. I do want to mention a few players that didn't get included in the squad. It's something that I'm going to do throughout the preview is for the big teams, since they're so deep, I think it's interesting to bring up players that got excluded and kind of decide which of these players would have had an impact, or if Nagelsmann was right to keep them out of the squad. You have Goretzka not making the team, Mats Hummels, Julian Brandt, Adeyemi, and then Stefan Ortega as the biggest omissions. Are any of those guys big misses?
I think the one that really surprised me, just because of the name and what he's done over the last 3 years at Bayern Munich, is Leon Goretzka. That one really shocked me. That one really shocked me because I thought he would have at least gotten called up. Maybe not even play or start, but be in rotation. He didn't have the best year. He actually got benched in that second leg against Real Madrid, and the youngster Pavlovic ended up getting the call-up in that starting midfield position. And I think that just kind of shows where Goretzka is right now in this moment. He's not playing his best football, but it just, honestly, it's pretty depressing for him specifically when you think about it, bro, because imagine you're in your physical prime. You're playing for one of the best clubs in the world at Bayern Munich. You've won the Champions League with him, and you miss out on the opportunity to represent your country in your own nation. That's crazy, man.
It's on him.
Oh, it is.
I think he didn't live up to what I think was expected to him, given the trajectory he was on when he was really young. I remember he's not a disappointment, but I mean I can see why Nagelsmann would ultimately opt to not have him in the squad.
It's just it gets even more sad though, because he launched like a social media campaign before Nagelsmann chose the German squad, and he was like, hey, you know, I really love Germany, basically. Like, I've been playing good football. I would love to represent Germany at this year's Euros. He, like, tweeted that, essentially.
Yeah.
And then Nagelsmann, like, 2 days later, nowhere on the list is Goretzka. That's crazy, man.
And low-key, if you want to continue on with that trend, Dortmund got fucked.
Yeah.
Dortmund got fucked. And not just with Germany. Sancho didn't get picked for England either. So no Sancho, no Julian Brandt, no Hummels, and no Adeyemi. Players that were playing in the Champions League final just a few days ago won't be playing in the biggest tournament of the summer here in the Euros, bro.
What the fuck?
It is surprising when you look at the starting 11, though, and I think this is where we can sort of get into it. It kind of makes sense that a lot of the Dortmund players didn't get picked. No Hummels kind of makes sense because if you look at the starting center backs for Germany, it's going to be Antonio Rudiger, right? Real Madrid UEFA Champions League winner, and probably Jonathan Tah right alongside him, who's probably going to go to Bayern Munich over the summer. Just had an insane season with Bayer Leverkusen. Those are two insanely good center backs for Germany. And I just don't really think you need Hummels. Even though he was really good in the Champions League this year, he realistically just wouldn't play. You have Schlotterbeck in the ranks to come on for either an injured Rudiger or Jonathan Tah. So I think, honestly, the center back position, you just don't need Hummels. And then for Julian Brandt, I think the players that Nagelsmann is bringing and the type of offensive football he wants to play, I don't know if Brandt really has a place in this German team, bro.
He's been looking for one for a long time, and he really hasn't found it, dude, with the national team. And I think there's better offensive players that do what he does, like Florian Wirtz, for example, that are going to get the call-up instead.
Exactly. When you look at this offensive shape that Nagelsmann likes to play, he might have one of the more fluid offenses here in Europe. You could play Leroy Sané on one side, Jamal Musiala on the other, and that's just insane directness, really good dribble penetration from either side. It'll give you a really good cutting edge going forward. And then and a guy like Musiala, he likes to cut inside, and you could have Leroy Sané just hug that touchline and be an out-and-out winger. Or you could play Florian Wirtz in one of those positions, and he'll definitely cut inside more often than not and be more of a creative type of midfielder, winger, hybrid player. So there's such fluidity that Nagelsmann could use in this offensive lineup. I don't think it really works if you try to play a traditional number 10 like Julian Brandt.
The talent is ridiculous. Germany reminds me a lot of Argentina prior to the 2022 FIFA World Cup, where you look down the list, it's just amazing player after amazing player. But I do think a lot of this run for Germany is going to come down to Nagelsmann and how he manages the team, the spirits of the players. The names are there to win a title, but I think he has to emulate Scaloni in a way and find the right solution, play the players that are best informed and that have the best chemistry together to ultimately thrive. Because I think that's what's holding Germany back, is that there's this, whether it's a mental aspect, whether it's a dynamic aspect, they have the players to win big trophies and not get grouped the way they did at the World Cup these past 2 times. So they shouldn't. But I just get scared that maybe they get in their heads again, and I hope Nagelsmann ends up being the pivotal point, the guy that keeps them from that happening.
Yes, Nagelsmann has so many choices to make, but like you said, and dude, this is such a good point actually. He could pull a Scaloni here and change the team as the tournament goes and eventually find the best form for them going into a late knockout stage run.
We're going to see that.
I think so. Because, I mean, look at the striker position. He could go with a traditional line in Füllkrug, who's been fantastic this year, or he could go with a false nine in Kai Havertz, who has been honestly pretty decent in that position for Arsenal this entire season. So there's an option there. And left back, he could either go with David Raum, he could go Mittelstadt, who went off for Stuttgart this season, or he could go with RB Leipzig's Benjamin Henrichs. There's not a starting left back that has made their name for Germany quite yet, so that spot's wide open too. If Nagelsmann gets these positions right, I think he could build a really effective Germany team.
What's the expectation? What's the expectation? Where should they go? Where should they land? I think it's quarterfinals minimum.
Yeah,
minimum, bro.
I'm going to put a little bit more pressure. I'm going to say semis minimum. They have to ride this host energy wave, bro. And you already kind of mentioned it. If anyone saw Ivory Coast run this January, it was all host energy. They had a poor group stage, but they got lucky to get in the knockout stage. But after that, they were completely dominant, but it's because they were riding that wave of being hosts, of having the crowd, 100% of the crowd right behind them in every match. Germany's going to get that. And then to boot, they have some of the best players in the world. Dude, we haven't even mentioned İlkay Gündoğan, who's going to play right underneath Germany's insanely good offensive 3. Gundogan's the perfect guy. He's box to box. He can do the defensive things, but obviously we've seen it at Barcelona and Manchester City. He's so good when he gets involved offensively, either off the pass or genuinely in front of goal. He's so deadly. That's what Germany have. You have Toni Kroos to kind of set the tempo as
Tony's
well.
back.
Exactly. And then this will be Manuel Neuer's last year's. It has to be. It has to be.
You won't let it go any further?
We can't, bro. He's what, 38?
He's old, dude.
37,
old,
something like that?
Yeah, this might have to be it for him. So, yeah, you have the narrative of Neuer and Kroos playing their last tournament, major tournament for the German national team. And it'd be beautiful to see them go out on top in the classic German way at home. I agree, dude. This talent, the roster is so stacked. I'm saying if they find their momentum, if they find that perfect 11, they can be champions. They really, really could. They're paired up in this group with Hungary, Switzerland, and Scotland. I'm just going to get very hot off the bat. Let's have a discussion. Let's have some fun. I have Hungary topping this group.
Oh, I love that. I love this.
I have Hungary topping this group, coached by Marco Rossi, ranked number 26 in FIFA's rankings. This Hungarian team embodies team football. If you look at the recent history and how they performed at the past Euros, at Euros 2020, they were drawn into a group with Germany, France, and Portugal. They struggled, but they still held their own, doing so without Dominique Szoboszlai at the time, who was injured. Now he's back and healthy, and a lot of these guys are back and healthy, with Milos Kerkez as well, Callum Styles, Roland Salai, Adam Nagy, Logic Nego. This team has such a good team dynamic and chemistry right now, and the biggest thing, the biggest argument I have for why I think they're going to do really well in the group stage specifically and end up topping Germany is the fact that they have not lost a single match of football since September 2022, the longest unbeaten streak in Europe and the second longest in the world, right behind the Colombians, who are going off as well. And I think they share some very similar traits, both of these teams.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, bro. Because of the things that we mentioned about Germany, in the sense that I don't know if I can fully trust them off the bat. I don't know if they'll find their form within 1 or 2 games. I think they might get there. I think that's why they're considered contenders, because once they do, they're going to go off and they're going to play incredible football. But I believe that Hungary, right off the bat, right off the jump, will know how to play against the teams they're playing against. They have their defined roles already set, and they have the trust and chemistry needed to top this fucking group, bro. So I truly do think they're going to surprise a lot of people. And even if they don't end up topping the group, I think they're making it out in second. And they're going to make a big statement on this stage that the Hungarians have arrived, bro. And I'm actually really excited to see that.
I'm so excited to see Hungary, bro. I second your opinion here. Let me think about if they're gonna top the group. Let me say what I have to say, and then I'll recalculate. But dude, they qualified in style, dude. I think that has to be mentioned again. Unbeaten in European qualification, 16 goals in 8 games. It's an elite offense, but you can just see it in the way they play. There's a swagger. There's a really infectious energy about this side, and you already alluded to it. It's the team aspect.
So
this
fake.
Is one of the most
That boy would
cohesive
never do
squads
that.
at the Euros, because every single player has a very defined role. And when you look at it piece by piece, the quality actually isn't impressive. That's what makes this Hungary team even more special. That midfield, Adam Nagy and Callum Styles, they both play in second division leagues in Europe. That's crazy. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Loic Nego plays in France, but for a lower team. But it doesn't mean that he's not a good player. He's actually instrumental in providing width for this Hungarian side. And when they win the ball in midfield, they go.
We're gone.
They
We're
go.
hungry.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
They commit so many men forward that no matter who they've played over these last 12 months, they score every time. Not a single defense has been able to cope with the Hungarian offense, but it's because they're so collective. It's because they're so defined. And it really is, I do believe, because of the personnel that they have, but it's the belief that they have under Marco Rossi. And I want to mention a couple things about this guy, because he himself is having a crazy story with his Hungarian side. He coached in the Hungarian league in the mid-2010s, and he actually took one of the Budapest teams to a Hungarian title. And after winning, he was like, "This is it. I want to leave on the top. I love
Fuck!
Hungary.
Why does he
I don't
do
wanna
it like that?"
anything wrong to this team."
Damn, like Zidane then, at Real Madrid.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he left, and after about a year, the Hungarian coaching position opened up, and he got the position. And ever since then, bro, they've gone on this meteoric rise, starting in the Euro 2021, where, they were in a really difficult group, but they didn't do that bad, honestly. And since that moment, they've just been getting better and better and better. So much so that, the Hungarian country, the government, they're making a documentary about Marco Rossi. Rossi himself has said that he himself feels that he's Hungarian, not Italian anymore.
Wow.
It's
I didn't
kind
know
of
this.
it's nuts. And also, just fun fact, Marco Rossi played for America when he was a pro.
Club America?
Club America. So he's got a
Mexican
connection
ties,
to
baby.
Mexican tie, bro.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's so many stories even outside of what's going on the pitch that it just makes this Hungarian tale all that more interesting. But then when you go to the pitch, as I already mentioned, there's some really interesting stories, but one that has to be said: captain of this team, Dominik Szoboszlai, your very own Liverpool attacking
At
midfielder.
a tender age of 22, 23 years old, I believe, captaining this side and, bro, showing the fuck out, man.
Oh my
Showing
God,
the
dude.
fuck out. Free kick goals, free kick assists, set piece assists, goals from outside the box, from inside the box, however you want it,
However
dude.
you want it.
I look at the score sheet so many times for Hungary, and he's on there, bro,
Yeah.
routinely. And that's really, really positive to have that one guy up front, or just that one guy you can rely on for a superstar moment, because in these type of tournaments, I think he's going to stand out. And especially considering the fact that he wasn't here this last time around, I think he's really going to take it upon himself to be the captain, be the leader for this young and hungry Hungarian side. I also want to add in the fact that Hungary isn't that far away from Germany, bro. It's not that far away if you look at the location, so I could actually see a lot of Hungarian fans coming to these games to support the team. So it'll almost be like a second home, I think, to them playing in Germany. And so it's for all those reasons that I say this, bro. I have them going to the quarters. I got Hungary in the
Fuck,
quarters,
how do you
and
do this
that's
shit?
why I have them topping the group. I think they'll get a favorable matchup in the
Ya
round
me
16.
acuerdo.
They go to quarters. From then on, I don't know what the fuck will happen.
This is where Harry Kane goes all the time. Let's
Surprising
go.
people
It
and
doesn't
making a
shoot
big
him like
advantage.
that.
I hope
Whatever,
they do.
I'll take
I
it.
have quarterfinals as well for this Hungarian side.
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
Honestly,
Let's book after
I
this.
almost want to put that dark horse there because they aren't title contenders, but my God, if
Joder.
this team catches fire in this
It's
tournament,
coming
they can go
home.
very,
It's
very far.
coming
Their
home.
offense is
Football's coming home.
especially when you have a free roaming.
Three
dominant
lines
like
on the
does
shirt.
everything offensively, and he's happy to do
Never
it.
kept me
My only question
dreaming.
is this team
30 years ahead.
they've never been on a stage this big. Obviously, they were
Ay,
in the
guapo.
last 2 Euros, actually. This is their third straight, which is great, but they've never been in this form, right? They've never been this hot. So I think there's that external pressure that people know, okay, this is the best Hungarian side since the fucking 60s,
Fuck.
man. Since they
Fuck.
were Ferenc Puskás was back.
You're right, you're
This
right.
really is one of the best Hungarian sides in a
Three lines on
very
the
long
shirt.
time.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I'm amazed that they've gone
But-
this long, this hot. I'm a little nervous. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I'm a little nervous that the moment gets a little too big for these players. I hope it doesn't. I hope that that's not even a thought that's going through the Hungarian minds. Because honestly, if they just play the way that they've been playing, which is very systematic and very free-flowing, they're gonna have a lot of success.
Three lines on the
As
shirt.
I've already said, their offense is just too good for most defenses. But I just
Oh
hope-
my gosh,
I
how the
just
fuck
hope
you
the
beat that
lights don't
shit?
get too bright. That's it. That's it.
I agree, man. That's why the question I'm going to pose to Hungarians watching this part of the episode is there a limitation to team football when there aren't that many quality players? We're going to find out.
We're gonna find out.
Because they play incredible team football. We've highlighted that. But how far can that go?
Yeah.
Can it go so
Oh,
far
I was
as
right
to
there.
beat Spain in the quarterfinal matchup of the Euros? Or is that where they get beat 3-0? That's my biggest question.
Exactly.
That's the same concern. It comes down to experience. It comes down to the quality of these players. How high of a peak can they reach? I'm going all the way to the top with them.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
going all the way to the top, but I'm willing to die on that hill, bro. I'm willing to die on that hill with this Hungarian side. So is it fair to say that you have Hungary in second then?
I'm gonna still say the host factor of Germany and also the world-class quality that they possess will outdo Hungary. Now, honestly, maybe Hungary even tied Germany, right? But I'd say overall Germany will have a better group stage. But right now I have Hungary right underneath Germany, right underneath them at 2. I got them at 2 for now, but let's go through the other 2 just to make sure.
Okay, let's go through. Next up we have Switzerland and Scotland. You want to get Swiss with it, or you want to go Scotland?
Let's go Switzerland.
You want me angry then?
Yeah, let's get angry.
Get angry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get angry, bro. This
What do you
Swiss
have to
team pisses me the fuck off, and I mean that respectfully for any Swiss people out there. This team pisses me off, bro. The only analogy I can think of is when you go to the club and you see a girl and you can only see her back, but she's got a beautiful figure. She's a work of art. You're like, oh my gosh, she's a beauty. And then she turns around, she's got the face of Shaggy Martinez. That's exactly what this Swiss team is, bro. Shaggy Martinez.
Shaggy
Because if you were
Martinez.
to tell me that I could have a center back pairing of Manuel Akanji and Fabian Schär, bro, I'd be ecstatic, man. I'd be so happy. And then if you were to tell me, well, wait, I can give you a midfield of Freuler, Dennis Zakaria, and Granit Xhaka, all 3 players who played a pivotal role in carrying their team's midfield to Champions League spots this year, I'd be losing my mind. And then you can throw in Shaqiri in there if you want as well as an offensive midfielder. If you like experienced Shaqiri, a player we love so much that has been a legend of the Swiss team, I'd be losing my mind, man. I'd be so excited.
No, for sure.
I get angry when I look up top. I get real angry when I look up top, man, because for a long time I thought the next man up for Switzerland, and he might still be that, is Mbolo. And unfortunately, injuries have cursed him.
Yeah, he hasn't played this season.
He played 5 games this season. That was just in the past month for AS Monaco, but he was gone the entire year. Injuries got him, and he was going to be the next guy. Honestly, when you look at the Switzerland offensive line, he really did look like one of the best talents. And he still has time, but I'm speaking negatively because the time has arrived, bro. The Euros are here, and I want them to succeed now with the talent that they have behind them. But then you got guys like Stefan, like Vargas, Okafor, Amdouni, looking at the rest of the teams that they're competing against, looking at the other offensive lineups and looking at the lack of chemistry that they have in comparison, I don't think they have enough to compete offensively against the top teams in Europe, especially in this group that's already pretty tough, bro. So for that reason, I get pissed off because I think Switzerland is that close, bro. That close. A couple really good offensive players away from being an elite team in Europe this year. And that pisses me off.
I get confused when I look at the Switzerland team.
Fuck!
because
Dude, oh my gosh, I messed up.
basically the reason
Puta,
they
cómo la
just
cagué.
labeled out
I could have had a goal
so
like
much
twice already.
quality in this side, but there's definite holes in this side as well. I just get confused though because 3 years ago at the Euros, they go to the quarterfinals and they almost make it to the semis. If you look at that 11 that pulled that off, it's pretty close. It's almost the exact same that it is today. So that means we know this crop of players is capable of making a very deep run in this tournament. They also, you know, they beat the reigning world champs at the time in France. And it was, yeah, they did it in style too. They worked hard for it. You cut to the World Cup that happened a year and a half ago, and dude, they looked disinterested. They looked like the exact opposite of the team that featured in the Euros a year and a half prior to the World Cup because they couldn't handle Brazil, they could barely handle Serbia, and they got spanked against Portugal, man. It was an embarrassing appearance for Switzerland at the World Cup, and it was the exact same players. So that's why I bring this confusion aspect to the Swiss analysis because I don't know what to expect, man. You already mentioned the true, genuine, world-class quality that is on this pitch for Switzerland, but does it really mean anything? Honestly, I don't know. They had a good qualification to get in here, but I'll be honest, it wasn't anything impressive, especially when you look at the teams that they ended up playing against. So it's just like, all right, has anything really changed for the Switzerland side? I'm actually going to say no. I'm with you. Actually, yeah, I'm pissed because this team really should be better than what they produce out on the pitch. I think I'm just more frustrated in the sense that they can produce. It's just more often than not, they don't.
And that's why my next question then is, how much blame does Murat Yakin have for this? Because I've seen a lot, bro, from the Swiss folks that I follow, the forums and YouTube comments and Reddit threads. They don't seem to like him. They don't seem to like him. And I wonder how much of a blame he has to, and I wonder how much of a role he plays in being a big reason for why the Swiss team is just so up and down. I mean, that's pretty crazy, bro. From a managerial perspective to manage a team like that, I do think some blame has to go to him.
Yeah, I definitely think you could take some of the blame. They don't really play quickly or adventurous, progressive offensive football. There's really an emphasis on just being very balanced, and I think it ultimately ends up being a pretty boring product for Switzerland. And I would be frustrated if I was Swiss too because there are actually good players, right? Ruben Vargas actually is having probably his best season at club level, and when you watch Switzerland play, every time Granit Xhaka or Remo Freuler get the ball in midfield, he's the first guy they look to. And he's in his prime, he's getting better on one-on-one situations. I actually expect Ruben Vargas to have a really good tournament here. He can go off. He's not much of a scorer though, and that's the problem for Switzerland, because when you look at the front line, there is talent, but goals? Not really, man. Because like Noah Okafor, for example, he's been the replacement for Braille Mbolo. He's been good at AC Milan, but he's not. He hasn't scored that much, right? I think he had like, what, 11, 12 goals, something like that, which is good. But, you know, you'd hope you'd have like a guy who's scoring 20 goals or something like that. That'd be really nice. And then if you look at the right wing, it could be Amdouni. He had a breakout season 2 years ago in the Conference League for FC Basel, then got the move this year to Burnley. He's good. He's a hell of a runner, and if you give him an open opportunity in the box, he probably will finish it. But I think the problem with Amdouni is he was at Burnley, right? He didn't get that much opportunities. And then Dan Ndoye actually is another player I want to highlight because he's a really good dribble penetrator, and he had a really excellent season in Italy with Bologna. The problem is, too, is he's just not much of a goal scorer either. So there is so much talent in the Swiss side, but they just don't create enough, in my opinion. And individually, there's just not a lot of goals.
Did Mbolo get the official call-up? Did he get called up?
He did. He got called up.
I'm curious because you look at Real Madrid playing Courtois in a final after missing an entire year. Yeah. How much? I mean, but the thing is, that's a goalkeeper. That's a goalkeeping position. It's a little easier to do that, I believe.
Yeah.
Can you put your trust and a guy who's only played 5 games so far, but is ultimately one of your best focal points offensively. I think they're just gonna have to. They're gonna have to take a gamble and do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, if I'm Yakin, I start Okafor in that first game, see how he plays, and I bring in Bolo on the 65th, 70th minute. If he looks good, I'm starting him Bolo in the second game. I'm gonna gauge it in that first match.
I think so. I think that's what you got to do, because the offense, to me, like as I mentioned, is the weakest part and the part that I'm most questionable about. And it's for that reason that the best I can see for Switzerland, bro, the best I can see is 3rd place in this group with qualification into the round of 16. That's the best I can see for them.
Honestly, I'll match you there. This Swiss team won't be easy to play against for Germany or Hungary, but I just don't see this Swiss team besting these 2 really good opponents. So, yeah, the high side of Switzerland too is actually 3rd place.
Yeah, and
which means
which means there's a really interesting discussion now to be had about Scotland. Scotland has made it to this tournament, bro, and that's very exciting because the Scottish are here, coached by Steve Clark and ranked number 39 in FIFA's rankings. The story of Scotland is a fun one. It's a fun one. At one point, beating Spain 2-0, qualifying in 2nd place for the Euros over teams like Norway, for example, and having a year-long peak, I would say, where they really did seem to be on the rise. That was really exciting to see. But what the hell happened on September 12, 2023, bro? Because from that day on, they have not won a single game in 7 straight matches. What happened, bro? I don't know. Because that magic, that excitement seemed to somehow drastically and immediately fade away. And that concerns me because the players they got are actually pretty solid. The Scottish midfield is definitely the strongest point. You got McGinn, McTominay, McGregor, or Billy Gilmore. On the left side of the pitch, you have Andy Robertson or Kieran Tierney, which I think is really, really solid. But I just get worried, man. I get worried that for Scotland, that they've already peaked and their best moment has already passed. And they've arrived at this tournament now with high spirits, obviously, but they might end up getting bested by 3 teams that I do see as better than them. That's my word.
Yeah, when you look at the Scottish squad, you actually will find genuine talent. You genuinely will. Don't get me wrong about that. But their weakest links are too weak. And when you're playing against an offense like Germany, Hungary, hell, on low-key even Switzerland, you're going to lead goals, and then at that point, you're asking the Scottish offense to now score 2 goals a game, and that's where they falter. There's 2 major holes for me on the Scottish team. First, defensively. Ryan Porteous, Jack Hendry, Kieran Tierney are good players, and they've had really good moments throughout this European qualification, but in every single game, they make a mistake. Somebody on that Scottish back line completely opens up, and the opponent has free reign to get inside Scotland's box every single time. The game against Spain and more recently against the Netherlands, yeah, Scotland were able to compete against these opponents, but dude, like that game against Spain could have scored 6 goals. The game against the Netherlands, even though Scotland were able to get a draw, Netherlands should have had 4 or 5. They opened up Scotland 3 or 4 times per half. And when you're really banking on a defense in the highest pressure situations of a Euro, there's just no way. There's no way magically this back line of Scotland's just going to figure it out and all of a sudden get real tight with each other. It's just not going to happen. And then going forward, that's also the thing. No, they don't have a number 9, bro. The Scotland team, Lyndon Dykes just got injured in training, and he was going to be the starting striker. Lyndon Dykes.
I know.
Right?
Well, I will say, I think they've been making a mistake starting him for so many matches, bro, because why does he get so many starts, at least in the past year, over a guy like Shea Adams?
Yeah.
I actually am curious to hear from Scotland fanatics because I've been looking at the lineup. Lyndon Dykes at QPR had like 6 goals this year in the championship, and they finished like in 18th place. Yeah. Whereas Shea Adams had 18 goals, 7 assists, I believe, for Southampton, who just got promoted into the Premier League. Why isn't he the outright starting 9?
I think it's just because when Adams has played for Scotland, he doesn't perform ultimately like he does at club level. And when I saw those games for Scotland against Spain and the Netherlands, Lyndon Dykes has a really good work rate. He runs non-stop, and every single long ball that's thrown to him, he'll put an elbow in the defender's face. And I think that's the type of fight that maybe the manager's looking for. But yeah, from a finishing perspective, Dykes definitely isn't it. He's injured, so I guess this is going to be Adams. It is time to shine now.
I want to see.
What is really good though about Scotland, we talked about the bad. Now let's talk about the good, because there is good here. John McGinn and Ryan Christie are coming off of their best individual seasons of their careers. I think that's massive. And when you look at the way Scotland play, they try to have a kind of like a high pressure, high active midfield to win the ball early. And then when they do get it, when McTominay or Billy Gilmore get it, they immediately go wide to either Christie or McGinn. And those guys are willing runners at club level. They really are. And they provide the perfect outlet for Scotland going forward. The problem is once it's out wide, they have nobody to go to, right? And that's where the Scottish offense ultimately fails. But I think it will be good for a goal or two throughout these 3 group stage games in the Euros. I just don't think it'll be enough to get a solid 3rd place, or hell, not even a 2nd place finish.
Yeah, this team reminds me a lot of, it gives me Australia vibes, where they have a really strong point in the midfield, championship level defenders at back, and then basically a non-existent offense. And just like Australia, where we saw Jackson Arvide basically carry the offensive load from the midfield, I think we're going to see that from Scotland with Scott McTominay, John McGinn, Christie, like doing all the work offensively from the midfield. And they might get some goals in this tournament because of that, but I just don't see that being a sustainable system to have in these Euros. The thing is, I don't think the Scots are asking for much here, honestly. I think they're happy to be here, and I think if they somehow find a way to get a 3rd place finish, or maybe even 2nd, they're going to lose their minds in Glasgow, bro. I think they're going to go crazy, because that's one thing I will note. The Scotland folk, they have some great atmospheres in their games. And obviously this game will be far away from home, but still, their fans are very passionate. And I will give them that, because I think that passion definitely played a role in them getting really notable results these past couple of years. So I do think they'll be really happy with whatever happens, and they're ultimately very positive about the fact that they're even here at this tournament. I do think there's a limitation on what they'll be able to do this year.
True. Scotland have never gotten past the group stage. So you're right. Even a measly 3rd place finish, if it's enough, Glasgow will go crazy. The entire country of Scotland will go mad if Scotland find themselves in a round of 16 match at this Euros. It gets even worse though for Scotland, and it's all unfortunate because Lewis Ferguson had a really stellar season in Italy this year, and he's injured. He's not going to be able to make it at this year's Euros. That would have really helped out, I think, McTominay, because now all the pressure is going to be on either Billy Gilmore or Callum McGregor to be that kind of passing midfielder. I don't know if they ultimately have it at this level. And then the right wing-back position, completely depleted, bro. Aaron Hickey, out. Nathan Patterson had a great year for Everton, out. So they have to start their 3rd choice right wing back. I believe it's Ralston, who plays in Scotland. He's a good player, but it's a definite downgrade when you look at the other options that they have. And if Scotland's all about that width when they get the ball to go forward, that's going to be a big missing piece. So just the more you look at this Scottish squad, it's really hard for you to believe that they can get out of this group.
Put Shea Adams at right wing, Scott McTominay in that 9 position.
Low key, man.
Put him in that 9 position.
You gotta get real creative.
But let's get creative with it, man. Let's see what Steve Clark can do. Hopefully he can hype these boys up and motivate them. But I ultimately do see a 4th place finish for Scotland, which means that for me, to round out this group, I have Hungary in 1st, Germany in 2nd, Switzerland in 3rd, Scotland 4th. Where are you at?
I'm going Germany 1st, Hungary in 2nd, Switzerland in 3rd, and Scotland in 4th. But I will say, I think if Scotland can get 3 points, it will be against Switzerland. And if they can manage that, then I could see a Switzerland-Scotland swap at the bottom.
You having fun so far?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
We're just getting started.
We're just getting started. Group B has Italy, Spain, Croatia, and Albania. To decide which team we talk about first, let me pose a question. Okay. Of these 4 teams, which team's performance in this Euros do you think will be the most unpredictable?
Oh, okay. Unpredictable?
Or toughest to kind of gauge how they're going to come out swinging in this tournament?
I'm inclined to say either Croatia or Italy. Yeah, honestly. Yeah. Italy's a weird one because they're the reigning champs. You'd hope a lot higher if they had that title.
Fucking football, man. It's so nuts to me, man.
Yeah.
Italy's an interesting one, man. They're so interesting to me, and actually, I'm looking for help from you, and I'm actually looking for help from the fans in the comments because I'm debating about where I should put Italy in this group. It's one of the few teams where I actually couldn't select a spot, a position for them in the group because I need to see what the discourse and what the rest of the people say because my research left me confused, man. Left me confused. Coached by Luciano Spalletti, ranked number 9 in FIFA's rankings. And the defending champions, that's the narrative. Defending champions of the Euros defeating England in penalties with names like Donnarumma, Bastoni, Scalvini, Barella, Jorginho, Di Marco, Scamacca, Federico Chiesa. Really, really good players on this team and a lot of squad depth. I get so curious, bro. What version of Italy are we going to see?
I have the exact same qualms about Italy, man. I really do. And I'd be surprised if most people didn't. Truly, because you look at Italy the past even 12 years, 10 years. Dude, they haven't been to a World Cup since 2014. It's been a decade since Italy have been to a World Cup. I was saying Mexico and Germany have been bad. Italy's been way, way worse. And then they won the last Euros. There's no explaining it. There's not a mastermind formula that some genius crafted last Euros and was like, oh, Italy's gonna win. There's not a single person who predicted that they could do it. But then once we saw Italy get going in the Euros 3 years ago, oh my God, it made sense. They looked unstoppable. They found such good form. And of course, when you looked at the squad, it did make sense. I mean, you already listed some of the players that won 3 years ago. They are here now in Germany. There's some serious talent that Italy have. The problem is that even recently in their Euro qualification, they've been hot and cold, man. They had a weird qualification where, yes, they looked good at times, but they couldn't beat England twice. They had 2 chances to beat them. They couldn't do it. And I think that's where Italy is right now. They can beat the teams that are lesser than them. And sometimes, honestly, they even underwhelm against those teams. But when they play against the bigger teams, I don't know if this specific Italy team really has it in them. But the thing is I said that 3 years ago. I said the same thing 3 years ago. I will say, though, there's some holes in this Italy side specifically that make me think that there's just no way they make a deep run like they did 3 years ago.
Where do you think that is? Because when I think about the offense, I think about Scamacca finishing the season off really strong for Atalanta, and then a guy like Chiesa playing really well for Juventus. Midfield looks pretty good to me with Barella, Di Marco, and these Inter Milan guys, honestly. And the backline has Bastoni, Scalvini. Where do you think the weakness is then?
It's in that third midfield position. So obviously the good is Nicolo Barella and Jorginho. And I actually want to highlight Barella really quickly because my goodness, dude, he has had 3 immaculate seasons at Inter Milan, one of the best box-to-box mids in the world. And what's crazy is I thought he was good like a year, 2 years ago. I think he was even better this year. Truly, he's gotten better at passing. His decision-making is elite now, and he still has that dog in him. He still has that physical grit, box to box. He's one of the most complete midfielders, I think, at this tournament.
I think he's the next great Italian midfielder.
Yeah, truly, and I think he's honestly in the midst of doing that already. He's 26 years of age. He's in his prime, or maybe 27, but still, what he does on the pitch speaks for itself. And then Jorginho needs no introduction. We've seen how good he has been and how instrumental he's been at Arsenal. 3 years ago, they had Verratti. And I think what he brought to the pitch for Italy was pure fluidity.
Let's go.
And honestly, just the know-how.
3 lads on the shit.
Any midfield pressure. What a player. And yeah,
Look, I forgot about him, bro.
Yeah, bro, he's been gone. Dude, he fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
He's gone. Completely. He's completely gone. And there is not a single guy who can replace what Verratti brought to the table.
That's right.
And I think that's a massive miss in midfield. I think what Spalletti's probably going to do is he could play Pellegrini, who plays at Roma, and he had a good season this year. You could play Davide Fratesi, who's also good at Inter Milan this year too. Those players can work, but they're just not even close to what Verratti was. They're just not even close. And I think that's a big miss. So there's one area. I think the second area is actually in the center back position, not because of the quality, but because when you look at what once was there. 3 years ago, bro, Chiellini and Bonucci.
Oh, yeah. And then, bro, 10 years before that, Maldini.
Exactly.
So, we got legends at the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure, the weakest, I don't know, aura that you've seen in an Italian backline in a really long time. I agree with that, but they're still really good.
They are really good, but I truly think that that aura, that know-how, that experience that both Chiellini and Bonucci, legends of the game, brought 3 years ago is low-key why they're able to stay in those very tight matches, and then, Chiesa goes off and gets a crazy goal. I think that's why Italy were successful ultimately, because Chiellini was doing Chiellini things.
That's true. No, you're right.
And again, the skill at the back is very good for Italy right now, but I mean, these guys aren't made. They're not established like Chiellini and Bonucci were, and I do think that actually is a downgrade. Now, in 4 years' time, or hell, even 2 years at the World Cup, Italy might have another really, really good back line, and there might be legends in the making. But right now, that doesn't exist.
No, that's fair. That's really fair. I was reading a comment online about, from an Italian point of view, an Italian saying how he approaches Italy games now. He says that him and a lot of Italian fans live on a game-to-game basis. No expectations anymore for Italy, bro. Because it makes sense. At one point, you're losing to North Macedonia and not making it to the fucking World Cup, and the next you're lifting the fucking Euros against one of the best England generations we've ever seen, man. And then you just compare this team and the names to what they had in the 90s and the 2000s. Like, it's just so drastic that you can't have expectations of this Italian team. And that's why I'm just left so confused, because I'm like, where do I put them then? What team are we going to see? Because you mentioned these defenders as being the weakest point. It is kind of make or break for them this tournament to see where they stand in the upper echelon of defenders in Europe. Can they be a top 3 defense in Europe right off the bat and establish themselves as that for the next 10 years? Or will it be clear that they still have a lot of work to do? We'll find out, bro. And that's kind of my ultimate take with this team is I'm just going to have to wait and see. So, folks, in the comments, let me know, what do you think about this Italian team and how they're going to perform? Because anything you have to give me, I will take like a sponge and receive it, because I'm so curious to see how they perform. If I have to pick a spot for them, bro, I think I'm going to go third. Man.
Dude, yeah, I can't believe I'm saying it too, but I think I am going to go third as well, just because there's just so much unknown. But the thing is, I won't be surprised if they get second.
I won't be surprised if they top the group.
Yeah, that too. I won't be surprised if they end up showing out here at this tournament, because, as you already said, they have quality, man. I mean, Chiesa just went off at the Coppa Italia final, and when he's healthy, Chiesa is one of the best forward winger hybrids in the game.
Yeah.
So Italy still have insane talent. I just wonder if they're going to show up. That's it.
Wow, that's actually crazy then, that we both have them third then.
Yeah,
pretty nuts.
But I think that also shows that this group, I think, is deceptively tricky, man.
Yeah.
You look at the rest of the teams, and honestly, I don't think it's an easy way out to the top of this group, no matter who you are.
I think that's why they called it the group of death. Right after the draw, they named this as the group of death, with Albania, Spain, Croatia, and Italy. And okay, then let me ask the biggest question here then. Who gets second?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go Croatia here, actually. And I think this might be a little surprising to a lot of people, because a lot of the sentiment that I see online, on YouTube comments, on Reddit threads, is that this Croatia team is past it, right? This Croatia team is too old now.
I said it at one point, bro.
Yeah, I think I said it too. But if you really analyze what this Croatia team is all about now, honestly, Dalic has done a pretty decent job at integrating the new generation of Croatians. He really has. Of course, you still have the veterans in Luka Modric, Marcelo Brozovic, Kovacic will still be here as well.
Perisic.
Ivan Perisic, who's really old now, but he's still working hard, plying his trade in Croatia. So there's still a lot of familiar names. But then there's new guys. There's new guys like Luka Sucic, Luka Ivanušić, who had a really good season in the Eredivisie. Lovro Majer has been trying to get into the starting 11 for the last 3-4 years. Now might be his
He's
time.
probably not going to come off the bench, bro.
Exactly.
All I've seen from him is coming off the bench, dude. That's nice. I hope he gets a start.
I hope he gets the start, and I do think it is time for him. He's been really good at Wolfsburg. Again, statistically, not a lot of these Croatians have a lot to boast about. I understand that, but the way that they play, there's a really good emphasis on just fluid football still, even with these new Croatian players. And the thing is, Croatia ultimately have punched above their weight the last 2 World Cups.
It's their identity, man.
what they've achieved hasn't really been what they were supposed to. They did the impossible by going to the World Cup final in 2018. They truly did the impossible by going to the World Cup semis in 2022. So I think when you look at the team that Croatia have now, yes, it may not be as good as what they once were over the last 4 years, but honestly, it might be just as good. It's just going to look a little bit different. Of course, you don't have Ivan Rakitic, you don't have Mario Mandzukic, legends of the game. But the new guys that are coming in, I think, play at a very high level, and they're Croatian, bro. They've established themselves over the last 6 years as being a nation that produces top quality footballers. Look at Joško Gvardiol, right, who popped off at the last World Cup. He's still here. He's still a major part of this Croatian squad. I think these youngsters in Croatia have a lot to say for themselves, and they still play decent football. I have Croatia being a decent, hard-to-beat side at this year's Euros.
This Croatia has gotten too old narrative, bro. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'm right there with you. I think this Croatian team is almost like, I don't know, like the San Antonio Spurs at their peak. And like Luka Modric is Tim Duncan, and they just got such a good system in place where they churn out talent with players that believe in the identity of the team and they embody it. Because I think this team isn't so much about the individual as it is about the 11 players on the pitch. I think one of the best examples of like the identity of Croatia is the fact that when you think about the type of player needed to score against Brazil in a quarterfinal of the World Cup when you're down 1-0 in extra time, you think you need a guy like Harry Kane or like Kylian Mbappe or Leo Messi to step up in those type of moments. But it was Bruno Petkovic, bro. Yeah. Bruno Petkovic was the guy who brought on this Brazilian tragedy in that situation, bro. And I think that represents the Croatian identity so well because it's a bunch of players like that. They might not be stars, they might not be superstars, and they might not be in the perfect age, in their prime age, but they just know how to play football very, very well. I love how they teach it there in Croatia. And I saw a stat that says Croatia has won a medal in every tournament they've played in except the Euros. And I think that's crazy, man. Nations League, World Cup, they've done it twice. I think they want to do it now for the Euros, bro. I think they want to do it now for the Euros. Playing in Germany is basically like playing in a second home for Croatians as well. And the biggest thing that I love about the Croatian national team that I've seen from them in the past 10 years is that they, more than anybody else, has proven that they know how to adapt to a match. And it's why so many of their games have notably and famously gone into extra time, because they know how to read their opponent and immediately adapt to it, make subs, make tactical changes to then play up to that level if needed, which is why you can see them play up to the level of a Brazil or also just play down to the level of a weaker team. They can play in any sort of match and hold their own, and I love that. They put 4 goals up against the Netherlands just a year ago in the Nations League semifinal, and then they went all the way to extra time against Spain in a 0-0 match that required more defensive stoutness, and they were able to show that.
Oh my gosh, what am I doing?
And then losing in what is ultimately a lottery. So I think for all those reasons, bro, I trust this Croatian side more than I trust the Italian team.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm going second for them.
Yeah, I agree. And just to finish, they just also still have so many options going forward. It may not be the best individually when you compare it to, England, France, Portugal, but it's enough to be cutting edge. It's enough to always keep the opposition guessing on how you're going to attack. Because you could start Kramaric, Ante Budimir. They've both had really good seasons this year, both in Germany and in Spain. But then, if Lovro Mayo's not working or if Ivan Ušic's not working, you can bring on Marko Pjaka, very direct dribble driver, or you could bring on Mario Pasalic, who just went to the Europa League final with Atalanta and who's been playing really good football for the last 5 years. So there's just so many different types of players that Croatia possess, and they all work really well together, like you said, under the systematic approach that they always bring to every single tournament.
Livakovic loves playing in major tournaments and showing out like he did at the 22 World Cup. I think my biggest question for Croatia is, yes, we both have them getting out in second place. What's the ceiling, though? Are they contenders? Are they contenders to lift the trophy, or do you see more like a quarterfinal and semifinal type appearance for them?
Dude, I mean, even in 2018 when they had that really good squad, I always considered Croatia nothing more than dark horses, And the same thing in 2022. I was like, Croatia are good. No way they get to a final, and they shocked me when they went to the semis, man. Like, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna fool me twice. Shame on me. I'm gonna fool myself again, bro. I'm gonna do it again because I can't say that Croatia are title contenders. I can't do it, especially that Modric is basically in a fucking wheelchair now. Man. We gotta take that into account.
Oh man.
But I just want to say that they're not as bad as a lot of people are putting them out to be, because the young talent is very good. They're just a little bit raw.
Yeah.
And I think that this is their opportunity to be like, all right, let's gauge ourselves. How good are we? I think Croatia could go to the quarters, though. I think they're that good. Now, obviously, it'll depend on what type of draw they get. I think if they get a really tough draw in the round of 16, then I'll probably say they cap it there. But I'll say quarters, but I don't want to be too high on this Croatian side.
Yeah, for sure. Well, folks, let us know what you think about this Croatian team, because I think this is a really, really interesting team to take note of going into this tournament. So then by us picking Croatia second, Italy third, we're predicting the Spanish demise?
Yeah, Albania at the top of the group, bro.
Albania's top in this group, bro. They got to, man.
This is the best Albanian team ever.
In their history.
In their history, man. And contextually, not a long history of success. Let's make that clear.
Nice.
Their first appearance in a major tournament was just in 2016 in the UEFA Euro 2016. And I actually remember that how important it was, or how massive of a moment it was, that Albania qualified for a major tournament. It was their debut, and honestly, when you look at how they approached that tournament, it was very defensive, yes, but dude, I mean, they almost got a result against France. They conceded late into the match, and they actually got a win. They beat Romania and got 3 points to finish in third place in their debut. It was a really magical moment for Albania in their debut to actually garner 3 points at a major tournament. So I think Albania kind of rode that way for a long time after having not made any major tournaments since then, but they're back. This Albanian team is back, and under Brazilian manager Silvinho, I actually think this team is a lot better than in 2016. And if they're able to get 3 points then maybe there's actual genuine hope for this version of Albania, because I think they're a lot more progressive, they're a lot more courageous when they go forward. And when you look at the squad, there's actual talent here that I truly don't think that they had 8 years ago.
You got the pivot of Ramadani and Aslani as one of the biggest focal points for this team. They got players at Brentford, Frankfurt, Atalanta, Lazio, Sassuolo, Inter, Fulham, Chelsea, I believe. I think the biggest thing for this Albanian team, based off how they play and how Silvinho has them set up, is the transitions. Transitions. They're very, very good at recovering the ball and then pushing it up forward and causing havoc, causing chaos. I think that's going to be their method this game, especially against teams like Spain that love to possess the ball. Italy, who will have to try to possess the ball against Albania, or even Croatia will try to outsmart them. They're going to have to play on the counter, and I think they can actually succeed with that approach because they played into that the entire Euro qualification, and it worked.
Yeah, it worked. And you already highlighted some of the players, but I want to re-highlight them, because player like Bayrami for Sassuolo, he brings a bit of filth to this Albanian side. He gives them character, and it's a player that they haven't really had before in their past. A guy who has genuine handles and can progress the ball forward very creatively. Ramadani's the perfect cover for a player like Bayrami, and then Aslani just had his breakout season at Inter Milan. He's an Italian champion. So there's true quality for Albania going forward. It'll be really interesting to see. My biggest concern with Albania is
What's that?
They had a pretty easy group, bro. Qualification.
There's a couple
group.
of teams that qualified into this tournament that has some easy groups, and that's what makes it hard to gauge. I'm with it.
It's a little tough to gauge, and they haven't really played any other teams outside of that Euro qualification side. So I don't know how this version of Albania plays against a Spain, plays against an Italy, plays against a Croatia. I have no idea, because they had the Czech Republic and Poland in their group.
Man.
Poland, mediocre as fuck.
Talk about Poland to me, bro. I don't even want to hear about Poland.
And the Czech Republic, a solid
That's
team.
the toughest test.
But that's all I can say for Czech Republic. We'll get to them later. Is that they're a solid team. So does that mean Albania is also just a solid team with maybe some special players in Aslani? I wonder. That's why I'm excited about this year, is because it'll be another massive moment for Albania to show out for their country. I just hope that they can show out.
Do they get more than 0 points at this tournament?
Oh God.
Do they get a point? Do they get a point? Because unfortunately for them, it's incredible how drastic the Euro qualification group is and the Euros group is, bro. It could not be more drastic. This is the group of death.
Yeah.
Do they get a point here? Be honest. Be
Roberto.
honest.
I think if they catch Italy off guard, they might be able to get a draw. Okay, so there's a potential for a point there. And if Croatia just don't show up offensively, which could happen, maybe they get a point there as well. They're not beating Spain. Winning is something that I don't know if Albania can do against these teams. And if what that means is I just don't see Albania getting out of this group.
Here's the positive part for any Albanians watching us, because I ultimately do agree with you. It's not about this tournament. It's not. I think they're building to 2026. I think that's where their timeline is going. You got drawn into a really tough group here. Have a good showing. Have something to be proud of. Maybe try not to get blown out. Be really positive. But you still got 2 more years to build to the World Cup and hopefully make it and show yourself out there. And that's where they can fully try to put on that pressure to deliver, because they seem to have the system in place to hopefully do something special at an expanded World Cup. So I would say that's the silver lining here. They end up not getting any points. But if they do, then that's even better. That's bonus at this point. If they get a point against Italy, or maybe even, dare I say, get a victory at this tournament. And that leaves us with the last team in this group, being Spain, coached by Luis de la Fuente, ranked at number 8. We both got Spain top in this group.
Got Spain top in this group. Bro.
Okay. Spain with guys like Grimaldo, Dani Carvajal getting called up, Nacho, Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, Morata, Nico Williams, Lamine Yamal, 16-year-old Lamine Yamal, Kubarsi as well. 2 Barca youngsters getting called into this team. The pros is that we know, out of all the teams in this group, I would say that we don't really know how Croatia's going to come out. We don't really know how Italy's going to come out. We don't know how Albania's going to look against elite teams. We know how Spain's playing, bro. They're possessing this ball for 75 minutes straight, passing merchants to the fullest.
Bro, what is the other side?
Possess the team and get a goal, just one goal,
That
to get
one's
the victory and
trash.
end up winning. The question is, how far
Fuck,
can they play
Portugal.
without taking? Because lately,
Fucking Italia.
we've seen it
Fucking
disappoint
Francia.
amazingly.
God damn, this is
Round of 16
part of the group is
exits in
fucking
every
hard as
single
hell.
major tournament
There's
since
only
that
Spain
disastrous 2014.
and Netherlands on that side. What the fuck?
Last time's
What the
Euros,
fuck?
where they actually went to the semifinals and nearly booked themselves into the UEFA Euro Final 2020. And I think that's kind of the story of Spain, is ever since that golden generation in 2014, for the next 6 years, they really worked on transitioning the golden generation out and bringing this new guard of Spanish footballers. And I think it peaked in Euro 2021. Because you already said the type of style that they play. Obviously, Spanish love to possess the ball. It's their bread and butter. But it got a little too much in that direction. But it went all the way to a semifinal appearance. And I think because of that, people had high hopes for them at the World Cup in 2022. But they took that exact same approach where you possess the ball for 90% of the time. You just probe, you probe, you probe. You go back and forth, right side, right side. And then you try to hope that Dani Olmo is the guy who has the edge to get past 3 or 4 defenders. But it peaked, because it did not work at the World Cup, man, ultimately. Like, they had some good performances, but they really lacked that biting edge. Because you pass the ball 100 times, but if you're not going towards goal, does it really mean anything? And I think that meaning was completely lost at the Qatar World Cup. But I'm excited about this Spanish team, man. And it's because of the youngsters that have recently hit the scene. On one side, you have 21-year-old Nico Williams, who has been going off for Athletic Bilbao these last 2 seasons, and that's it, bro. He's just hit the scene since the World Cup. He is fresh, and he is dribble penetrating at every single opportunity he gets. And if you talk about dribble penetration, well, it gets even better with 16-year-old Barca starlet, Loki, maybe the next Messi. It's still to be seen.
You could say that.
Lamine Yamal on the other side. All of a sudden, Spain go from a possession type of midfield approach offensive style team to now you have 2 out-and-out wingers, but you still have the class and quality in the midfield. And I think that's what makes this Spanish team a lot more deadly going into this tournament than the past 4 tournaments, because I think now they have true cutting edge on both the wings, centrally through Alvaro Morata, and then creatively when you have a midfield of Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, and Rodri.
Rodri. Wingers have definitely improved. Striker position. Let's talk. Morata, possibly Joselu. Has that improved, bro?
No,
it has.
It definitely hasn't.
But I will say, in the past, they haven't had this much excitement in the winger position to feed them and to create chances. So I think they're good enough to work with these exciting youngsters beside them. So I think that's a really positive factor. Part of me is wondering if that's where the limitation of this Spanish team is in the striker position, the finishing spot to finish those balls that Yamal and Williams will send in. Can Morata consistently be that? We ask this question every single time for Spain. Can he be that guy? Or even a guy like Joselu is even that much of an upgrade at an older age?
Fuck.
Will those guys be the weakest link for Spain?
I'm hoping that due to the addition of these new wingers, that Morata has to do less on the ball. Meaning he just has to be sharp for the moments when he gets the ball in the box, coming from the wings. If that is the case, then I actually trust Morata to take advantage of the opportunities that he eventually will get. But if Morata has to end up doing a lot of work with his back to goal and he has to come deep, then I think that's where Spain lose a lot in that central position. So I think what will remain to be seen is how effective really are Williams and Lamine Yamal going to be for Spain, because they're ultimately going to have to do a lot of work on that wing.
I'm so excited to see Lamine Yamal, man.
Me too,
I'm
man.
so excited. He's such an X factor, I think, for Spain and world football, man. A winger with this much confidence and this much threat at his age is just not, it's not usual, though. It's and they're going to give him the keys to that right wing position to just go off, bro. To just go off. We saw it this whole year with Barcelona. His rise has been incredible. I think he'll be one of the most exciting players to watch at this year's Euros. And so I definitely recommend people who don't know who Lamine Yamal is, perhaps, to definitely focus in on him when Spain plays, because he is such an exciting talent. And I think he's going to play a big role in carrying the Spain team forward and hopefully going deep into this tournament. But speaking of depth, bro, this team has so much depth, man. They really do, to the point where I was looking at their exclusions. They got some crazy names that they left out, bro. Pedro Porro, Lucas Vasquez, Marco Asensio.
Oh, fuck. I
To
don't
me, the
know.
most notable one, Torres. Not getting called up.
Yeah.
Isco, and then Sergio Ramos, who you could list as an exclusion, but obviously they're past him. But those are some interesting names here. Anybody there that you think should have been on this team?
Honestly, no. I think De La Fuente really likes the French connection of Lenormand and Laporte. Although Nacho has been really good in the Champions League for Madrid, I could actually see Nacho getting in. And when I look at those three center backs, I do think they're better than Pau Torres. So if you bring Pau, he'd be a fourth choice. He wouldn't get any playing time, bar disaster on the pitch through injury. So I'm cool with Torres not coming. And then when you look at a guy like Pedro Porro, he has to compete with Dani Carvajal, the best right back that has ever existed. So as long as Dani is healthy, Porro's not seeing the pitch.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense why you don't bring a guy like Pedro Porro.
Yeah, and then Marco Asensio, I think, just hasn't really shined that much at PSG, or honestly since his peak at Real Madrid. Sergio Ramos might be too old. Isco was solid at Betis this year.
Yeah, he was solid. I guess you could have brought Isco, but if you're going to start Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, and Rodri for sure, then you'd probably rather use a guy like maybe Mikel Merino to come in, and because Isco's a defensive liability. So if you're wanting more well-rounded midfielders, there's probably other guys to go for.
I think ultimately, looking at the Spanish team, we mentioned the striker position is possibly a weak link, but I do think just with the play style that they have, what we've seen in the past 10 years, their weakness is in defensive transitions. The moment they lose the ball, that's when you pounce on this team, and that's when you try to take advantage of the Spanish side and catch them off guard. I'm interested to see what teams will be doing that, how they actually do it, and how the defense holds up.
Fuck.
But ultimately, man, I do have them in first in this group. And I got them making quarters minimum. I got them quarters.
I wanted to ask, do you have this team as title contenders? Do you have them as dark horse? Like, because when you look at the quality, man,
Puta madre.
it's
What the
such
fuck?
insane quality. And I have to say my own word on this too. Lamine Yamal being 16 years of age and possibly having a huge impact, that's an energy that no other team has at this
We
tournament,
met
bro.
these 16 years
Fuck!
They fucking got so much energy nowadays, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, you're right. That's my question too, because I'm scared to say semifinal for Spain.
I'm scared to say too, but I mean, they might be able to pull it
Okay,
off.
if Spain reaches their max version, yeah, contenders. Okay. If they don't, though, I think quarterfinals max.
Yeah, I'd say.
That's the most I can say.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this Spanish team. I'd say if they don't make it to the quarters, then it's a disappointment, truly, because they've shown that their quality is so much better than most teams, right? The only teams I see Spain struggling against is going to be the elite teams like a Germany, England, Portugal, France, right? But Spain have showed over the last year and a half, without Williams and Yamal, that they're pretty much better than most teams. If that's the case, they have to make it to the quarters. So I'm saying quarters minimum. If they reach their full potential, then yeah, I'm going with you. This team is a title contending team.
In Group C, we have England paired up with Serbia, Slovenia, and Denmark battling it out in this group. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about England.
Have to.
Coached by Gareth Southgate and ranked number 4 in FIFA's rankings. I mean, the biggest question, the biggest narrative I see regarding England every single time I click on a video talking about this team is the narrative surrounding Gareth Southgate. So I want to start there. Bro, is he really the problem? Let's figure this out.
I get sentimental and actually very empathetic when I look at this English squad under Gareth Southgate, because I think there's been an unrealistic amount of pressure on this English squad prior to this year. So when they made it in 2018 all the way to the semifinals, this was a new English squad. They had just disappointed in the Euro 2016 where they got outed by Iceland. Embarrassing. But the new generation that followed to try and fix that, dude, they went all the way to the semifinals playing really good football. Harry Kane, during that time, established himself as one of the best strikers in the world, and he has been that ever since then. And that was all under Gareth Southgate. He started what has become this juggernaut of a team. But people gave England so much shit for losing that semifinal. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's an insane amount of pressure. It's a little harsh. It's very critical in my opinion. And what I went on to realize is that's just how it is when it comes to England, man. And I think you have to take those criticisms with a large grain of salt, man, because every single tournament since then, it has been nothing but England should be doing so much better. This English squad can't hack it. You know, they choke in the biggest moments. But, dude, then after that 2018 World Cup appearance, they go to the Euro final and they lose on penalties, man. Penalties. I don't think you can ask any more from a squad that achieves something like that. And I understand there still are points of criticism. You can always criticize a team. I'm just saying, don't let it get out of hand. Don't let it get out of proportion, because realistically, the only thing that you could say in that final was Gareth Southgate made some interesting penalty decisions, but even then, it's a lottery at the end of the day. England played so well. They were courageous. They were valiant, and they were still so young at the time. You look at the team that they have now, obviously, there's so many more players that are in form, playing at the highest level, but they still get criticized because in the 2022 FIFA World Cup, they lose out to France in the quarters. And I understand that was probably very disappointing, but it's France, man. They were runners-up. They lost the penalties against Argentina in the final. France-England itself was a final, you know? And Kane missed a really big opportunity, but can you really blame Southgate for that? I don't think so. So ultimately what I'm getting at is I think Southgate should be criticized for some of the decisions he's made, but you can't criticize him as much as most people do.
I do think this is a tournament that makes or breaks Gareth Southgate. This is the one. I see if they don't get that Euro Championship this year, if they don't win the final, I think he's gone, bro. And that's with 2 years left until the World Cup. So despite all of that, I do think the pressure is very much there for Gareth Southgate. And I do think that I agree with your points, but I also agree that the pressure should be there. Because you look at the talent level of this team, you look at how close they've gotten. To not get there and lift silverware after a 4th major tournament under Gareth Southgate, I think that's when you have to cut the umbilical cord on this managerial job, especially considering the level of depth that he has at his disposal. It's remarkable, bro. One of the deepest teams I've ever seen on the international level. Like, we're talking about Kane, Saka, Foden, Bellingham, Declan Rice, Kobbie Mainoo, John Stones, Pickford, if you want to throw him in there as well, Kyle Walker, just a few names. And then looking at the exclusion list, it's incredible how many players got left out only because the starting 11 is so strong. Marcus Rashford isn't here. Ben Chilwell, Dominique Solanke isn't here. Jadon Sancho, UEFA Champions League finalist Jadon Sancho, Raheem Sterling, Reece James, my very own Harvey Elliott isn't here. Tomori, the center back from AC Milan, isn't here as well. It's insane how stacked this team is. It is time for Gareth Southgate to finally deliver, and I think they might be able to do it, bro. I'm going to keep it real simple, real plain for you right now. I think they might be able to do it. I think this is the year where England could get to the final and finally get over the hump and bring the English fans a major, major trophy that they have been thirsting for so long. And that's why I do have that expectation. When it comes to England, they have to make the final.
If you compare this English squad to the last 3 major tournament squads that they brought, this team is light years better. And that's scary because those teams went to finals. They went to semifinals. If this team on paper is miles ahead of the teams that got them those results, then England have the most pressure at this year's Euros. And I think they should. They have the best midfield on paper. They have the best offensive line on paper. And in my opinion, they are also the deepest squad. You already listed out every single player, all of the studs, ballers out on the pitch, bro. They have to perform. And I have them as my favorites to win this year's tournament. They are title contenders for sure, but I agree. They have to go to the final minimum. And then from there, obviously, finals just, they could lose on penalties again, and I'll be okay. But if they don't get to a final, I say disappointment, Southgate has to go.
It's the form, bro. The form of these players is actually what I think differentiates the level of the squad compared to others. Bundesliga, Kane is arguably was the best player this past year with over, 35 goals. And the only guy you compare him to is Florian Wirtz, who played for the winning team, which I think I would happily take that argument, but Kane was one of the top players in Bundesliga. You look at the Premier League, Phil Foden, by far the best player this year. Over in La Liga, Jude Bellingham and Vinny Jr., make your pick. But for a good while, it was Jude Bellingham who was outplaying Vinny Jr. and the best Real Madrid player for, I'd say, all but 2 months, in my opinion. So 3 out of the top 5 leagues in Europe have been dominated by English players that all get to play together in one offensive line. I think that's crazy. That's crazy. I actually don't know if I've seen this in my lifetime, where so many players from one specific country are in such good form going into a major tournament. The front line of Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Harry Kane, and Bellingham is going to be ridiculous, man.
It's crazy,
ridiculous.
dude. It's literally like a video game when you look at the line that England could put out. And that's one formation that they could do. But Southgate could do a completely different 4, and it would still be just as effective, honestly. Because you could put Ollie Watkins, who had an insane year in front of goal, up top. You could put Cole Palmer on one side. You could put Eberechi Eze, who's absolutely balling for Crystal Palace, on the other side. And then beneath all that, you could put James Maddison, who had a stellar season at Tottenham this year. So it's ridiculous how deep this English squad is.
You see what they did today? Against Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ollie Watkins up top, behind him Cole Palmer, Eze to the left, Jared Bowen to the right.
There you go.
And then behind him, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Conor Gallagher. These guys might not start, bro. Not a single one of these
Not
guys.
a single one of them,
That's
bro.
nuts. Who do you think is going to be you could say the defensive pivot behind these 4 offensive players that I mentioned? Because I do think the favorites will be Saka, Harry Kane, Bellingham, and Phil Foden. I think I'm predicting a Declan Rice, and surprisingly, bro, Kobbie Mainoo, I think, is going to get the start.
I wonder. Obviously, it will be Declan Rice. He's one of the best defensive midfielders in the modern game. But yes, dude, who is going to be his defensive partner? And it's going to be a massive decision. It has been Gallagher in the qualifiers. Not all the time, though. Maybe only like 50% of the time. Kobbie Mainoo, though, has had a really good 6 months. And he's like Gallagher in the sense that he's really good at decision making. He's actually pretty good off the pass from a midfield position, but he's also physical. He might be more physical than Gallagher, and Gallagher's a pretty feisty guy. I do just wonder who is Southgate going to pick. I honestly don't know. I'm going to go Gallagher just because he's a slightly more experienced. I think Kobbie, obviously, is still a teenager and he hasn't played at this level ever before. But I mean, put him alongside Declan Rice, and he showed he can do it at Manchester United. Mainoo would be a good option too.
I think it's ridiculously stacked from midfield to offense, but it's time to play devil's advocate. if you're against this English squad, I think the one place you're looking to take advantage of is ultimately their defense.
Yeah.
Where I think the best player is John Stones and Kyle Walker. But then it gets interesting with who becomes that pairing center back for John Stones. Is it Harry Maguire, or has Southgate moved on from that, and is he interested in bringing on a guy like Branthwaite from Everton, I believe? Who is he going to go with as the pairing center back? And then I think there's a slight argument to be made, but I'm defensive of it as well. Jordan Pickford, when you look at the top 5 teams in the world, he's definitely the weakest goalkeeper out of those 5. But the thing is, when it comes to Pickford in major tournaments, I've always been impressed with him, and I actually love having at the back a true scouser, if you will. I love his energy and his attitude. I just would say that maybe his absolute peak, the best version of himself, doesn't compare to like the best version of Alisson, of Donnarumma, and of these top goalkeepers.
That's actually a good point. You're right. I've never really seen Pickford underwhelm at a major tournament. So, yeah, I don't think you can really criticize it if Southgate starts him. But yeah, I think the center back situation is going to get really interesting for England. Stones has been kind of injured this year, right? He hasn't played as much football as you'd like him to. If he's healthy, then he should be completely fine.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's fully healthy, as in he doesn't even have a little knock. If that's the situation, then I could see Southgate still going with Maguire, because he hasn't fully transitioned from him, and that's just kind of the weird part. Maguire obviously is just such a character for Manchester United, and it's been tough on him, especially given that Man United just had their worst season in like 20 years. So I could see Southgate not picking Maguire, but if he picks him, I mean, he's been picking him for 6 years now, so it's just like, why wouldn't he if he truly does trust him? Another position that's up for grabs, though, is that left back position, because Luke Shaw's injured ultimately, so who is it really going to be? It could be Kieran Trippier, who has played inverted before. It could be Joe Gomez, who was super useful for Jurgen Klopp when they had so many injuries back in February. I could see Gomez easily going to that left back position and just, doing what he does best, adapting and being defensive first and foremost. I wonder who's really going to take that left back position, though, under Southgate.
Yeah, Kwanzaa also plays at the center back position too. He had a good season for Liverpool. I wonder if he gets paired up in that center back spot. Left back is interesting, but it's still a lot of quality to choose from, in my opinion. But that is the weakest sector. The defense to me is the weakest sector. But ultimately, man, I'm going finals for this team. I'm going finals for this team, and I want to know from the fans, from the people watching, where do you have this English team finishing this tournament at? Is it as champions? Is it as runners-up? Or are they going to disappoint? And then that's the question. What happens if they disappoint? Like,
they can't.
In the quarters, bro.
What
happens?
They can't, man.
But what happens, bro?
This English team cannot fail. They cannot exit this tournament prior to the semis, man. They have to make it to the Final Four, and they have to win that semifinal, man. I don't care who they play, but my God, imagine if somehow they get like Germany in the quarters, or like France in the quarters, or Portugal, or like a really good Hungary side. Like, it'll definitely make for pure drama, but that's the Euros, man. There's so many good teams. It's up to the absolute best to make it to the final. I think England is that.
Who had more pressure going into a major tournament? England 2024 or Argentina 2022? Dude, this is a lot. The way we're talking about this team, this is a lot.
Wow. That's actually a crazy question. I think you'd almost have to say England, only because all their players are pretty much from the Premier League, right? You have the Premier League Player of the Season in Phil Foden. You have the La Liga Player of the Season in Jude Bellingham. They're all like, 21, 20 years old. You have the best striker in the world in Harry Kane. You have the best defensive midfielder, self-proclaimed, in Declan Rice. It's like there's just too much heavyweight talent. That's all the pressure in the world. Whereas maybe for Argentina, all the pressure was on Messi specifically.
You could say that.
Yeah,
you could say that. Yeah.
But obviously Argentina, they're one of the most pressurized teams in the world at all times. So it's close for sure. It's close.
Man. It's close because I look at this English team, the way people are talking about them. I'm scared for them to see what happens if they don't lift the title, bro.
Dude,
I'm scared,
dude. And and the thing is, maybe I understand a bit of the pessimism, because if you are English, you can't say that England are gonna win. You can't, because then you're setting yourself up for just depression. You know what I mean? And you can't look at the squad sheet and be like, oh, we have Foden, we have Kane, we have Bellingham, we have Saka. You can't be like, all right, we're going to the finals. And if you don't, man, that's gonna hurt right here. Yeah. That's gonna hurt right where it hurts, bro, in the heart. So, I can understand why British people are just like, yeah, England always bottle it at the end, or they always choke, because it's the easier emotion to go with. But all I'm saying is that I'm going the opposite direction, man. I'm putting that pressure on England. They have to go to the finals. They have to finally win it.
I think looking at this group and deciding what are the most interesting topics, I think obviously England leads that line. But then the second most interesting thing that fascinates me about this group is who ends up getting last place. Because I don't think the gap is that big between Serbia and Slovenia. And low-key, you could throw in Denmark in there if we see the same Denmark that showed up at the World Cup, bro.
You
So
could throw 'em in
I think it's going to be a race for last place. And who's going to be the face of that? I'm trying to write. Who's going to be last place for you, bro?
I have Slovenia. I do. And it's simply because they don't really have much tournament experience. And honestly, doing my research on this team, I realized if you're not making major tournaments or getting close to it, I'm also not watching you, because I have watched very little of Slovenian football over this last 12, 14 years. And I'll be honest, I actually don't know much about the players themselves. This is only their second total Euros appearance since the year 2000, and it's their first major tournament since the 2010 FIFA World Cup. So it's been a very long time since the people of Slovenia has something to celebrate from a major tournament perspective, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Coached by Matjas Gek, ranked at number 57, finished second in the Euros qualifying behind a team that is in this group in Denmark. So we actually have a place of reference to see how they performed against a team that they're going to play against in the Euros. They got guys like Jan Oblak, bro. You say you haven't seen a lot of Slovenian players. You've been embracing that, man, for so many years at your favorite club.
And can I go off a little bit, do a little something on Jan Oblak, because I do actually have something to say here about this man. This Jan Oblak qualifying with Slovenia to the Euros, this reminds me of when Gareth Bale qualified for the Euros in 2016 with Wales. Because the whole narrative when Bale was really young was, is Wales going to be good enough, given that they're such a small country, to get a player like Bale on the international stage? And they finally did it in 2016. And when they did do it, my God, they did it in style, bro. But I think this is that for me. To see Jan Oblak qualify for a major tournament when, honestly, he probably wasn't supposed to, given Slovenia's quality, this is massive for me. And I think if you're any fan of the best goalkeepers in the world, you're happy that Jan Oblak is finally getting to participate at a major international tournament, bro. And whatever happens, I honestly don't care. They could lose every game 4-0. He could be the worst keeper here. I'm just glad that he's finally getting to play, because you know what, bro? He has had every summer off. He hasn't had to work a single summer his entire career. This is the first time where he ends the season with Atleti and he's like, all right, now I get to represent my country.
Simeone's like, where the hell are you going, bro? He's got his backpack and shit. I got plans, coach.
I gotta play, man. I gotta play for Slovenia. And that's what I'm getting at here, is that this is massive. He's been one of the best keepers in the world. Now he gets to don that Slovenian jersey.
Give me Keylor Navas with Costa Rica type vibes. A legendary goalkeeper, seeing his team on the biggest stage. They got guys like Bijol, Brekalo, Stojanovic, Elsnik, Benjamin Sesko, and Luka Doncic, bro. On this fucking team, the Slovenian,
Luka
man.
Doncic.
Fucking Doncic is on this fucking team, bro. They play team football. That's what I got for Slovenia. I'm looking at the results. It's actually not that jarring. It's not that negative, I would say, looking at their past results. There is something positive there, and I'm actually going to say there's an argument to be said that they can play up to just about anybody's level for certain amounts of time. It's there. There's something to work with. There's something that's somewhat positive. And lately, we mentioned how they have Denmark in this group. They played against Denmark recently, and they drew 1-1 the first time, and then they lost them 2-1. So that says to me that they can at least keep games really close. And I think that's really important in the Euro specifically, where keeping the game really close, making it really tight, maybe they can get a couple points out of this group and see themselves get out of it in third place, or at least compete for that third place position. I'm a little bit higher on Slovenia than I think you are, bro.
Yeah, I'm not that high on them.
I'm seeing a little bit more positivity here in comparison to a team like Serbia. If you're okay, I'm open to shifting over to the Serbian discussion now. given that it's a very soft topic for me because at one point, bro, let's not forget, I had this team in the semifinals of the goddamn World Cup. So I got a little bit of a grudge against this team now after the shit I saw in that group stage performance at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. So let's talk Serbia, bro. Let's talk Serbia. You ultimately see the Serbian team as a more formidable side than Slovenia?
I say they're all on par, and I'll say the same thing about Denmark too. You already kind of alluded to it. Like Slovenia could play Denmark, but is Denmark that good? You see what I'm saying? So Serbia, do I say that they're better than these teams? No, but are they the exact same in output? Probably. So honestly, this is going to be a crapshoot for who would get second place, in my opinion.
But it doesn't make you angry how they shouldn't be as good.
Oh,
They should
I see
be
what you
better, bro. Serbia should be better, man.
No.
They should be coming off of a third place finish at the 2022 FIFA World Cup, bro.
Yeah.
When you look at the names.
Yeah.
And
that
and
vote
they're
has
not.
failed for me, but
No, absolutely,
that's why you're rightfully pissed, bro.
No, bro,
Because
yeah.
this team is the exact same that played a year and a half ago. On the wide ends, you have Živković, you have Kostic. In the midfield, you have Sasha Lukic, you have Dusan Tadic. You still have Aleksandar Mitrovic leading the line.
Best player in my opinion.
And then you have Sergej Milinkovic-Savic still providing that coverage defensively. This is the exact same squad. And here's the problem, they get the exact same results, bro. They play the exact same way. And what is that way? Well, sure, they can score a lot of goals against teams that are on par with them, but no matter who they play, they leak goals.
Defense.
It's wide open.
Defense, bro. Oh my God. They at one point conceded 3 to Cameroon in the World Cup. Let's not forget that. And then 3 to Switzerland as well. And just recently, they conceded 4 goals. Four burgers to Russia.
Yeah.
Who's not even here, man.
Yeah.
Not even Jokic could save this team. That's what I wrote down. Serbian. Yeah, so we got Luka Doncic's team and Nikola Jokic's team in this group. Jokic can't save this goddamn team, bro. They got second place in Euros qualifying behind Hungary. But if you look at the group beyond Hungary, bro, they should have gotten through. It was Montenegro, Lithuania, and Bulgaria. I mean, come on, bro. If you don't make it out of that group, then there's something wrong with you. For Serbia, for me, it all comes down to their defense, and I just don't see improvements there with Pavlovic still leading the backline, I believe. It's just not enough, man. It's not enough.
It's not enough.
I think they're setting themselves up for failure here, and that's why I'm going to go Slovenia, because I think they're a better team than Serbia, who's a team of just individuals, in my opinion.
I'm hoping for Serbia that we see more of Dusan Vlahovic. He's been working really hard at Juventus. I still think he could score a little bit more goals. His injury proneness maybe doesn't help in that regard, but when he's on it, man, Vlahovic is relentless. He loves the physicality aspect of the game, and when he does get an opportunity in front of goal, he looks to be deadly. I'm hoping we see more of him, but the coach goes with Mitrovic, and that makes sense. Mitrovic is a beast, but I just think, honestly, if Serbia just want to go full-on Serbia and go all-out offense, dude, play both Mitrovic and Vlahovic. Play a double front two up top, and then try and have the midfielders just constantly feed them. You just concede 3 goals, but maybe you score 4.
Yeah, shoot out.
Shoot out.
That might be the best method. I'll be honest. That might be the best method for this team. And thing is, deep in my heart, I still want to see Serbia succeed. I do. I mean, if they made like a quarterfinal run, I'd be like, there it is. I'd feel at least somewhat justified in what I thought the potential of this team was just 2 years ago. But if they end up disappointing again, then I'm all out on Serbia, bro. I'm all out on them. But ultimately, you have them in third or you have them in second?
Let me see here.
Yeah, think about this. You're going to go as far to say Serbia gets second in this group? And if they get third, do you have them as one of the teams getting out? I know I'm being hard on you, bro. I know I'm being hard on you, but I need to know regarding Serbia.
I just hate saying Serbia's second place in any sentence, man. In any content, Serbia shouldn't deserve second place. If this group was a little harder, they wouldn't get second. But it really just depends on if Slovenia and Denmark show up, man. Serbia could finish second, they could finish in fourth, man. I really do think that second, third, and fourth place is that wide open. I will give Serbia... God damn it. I'll give them third place. I'll go third.
Are they a top 4 out of 6 third place team, or do they end up in that 5 or 6 slot?
Shit, nah, I can't give you that. I can't give
they go I need to know if they go to round 16 or not.
They easily could, bro. They easily could, because if you look at other other groups where they're a lot harder, that third place team might get screwed against the top two. Whereas Serbia, really, they just have to worry about England, and then from there, they can handle Denmark, they can handle Slovenia. I'm just saying, if I have to pick, I'm gonna go Serbia third place. But like I said, I will not be surprised if they get fourth or second.
Dude, it's great. Serbia's our most viewed video on YouTube, I think. It was at one point my analysis of them. And look at how I'm talking about them now, bro. I want to be Serbians.
No, this is on them, man.
This is on
Serbia.
I know, bro. I know, but I'm just saying, like, I want to be part of you. Please give me a reason to rejoin the Serbian army, man.
So are you saying?
I'm saying Slovenia third, Serbia fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. I'm saying Serbia fourth. I'm sorry.
All right.
Meaning that in second place, we both have Denmark. And my question is there a coach that's more hated on than Denmark's head coach right now in Kasper Hjulmand? Because the things I've read about him, bro, are visceral, bro. Man, Danish people hate him.
Really?
They hate him. They claim that he is the biggest problem for the team. He's been there 4 years now. Doesn't seem to get the most out of the players anymore, or doesn't employ the proper tactics. And some folks even went so far as to say that they're calling him Morten Olsen 2.0. And I look up, who the hell is Morten Olsen? And he was the coach that came before him, who coached Denmark for 15 straight years, bro. He was the main guy for them for so long, but ultimately ended in a really sour relationship. People are starting to reference him, Kasper Hjulmand, as the next version of Morten Olsen. It ain't good, bro. It ain't good. What I'm hearing in terms of discourse regarding the head coach, very negative. I would compare it to probably the same negativity I see for Gareth Southgate from the English people. And it really surprised me because they made it to the semifinals of the 2020-2021 Euros. And right now they're ranked number 21 on FIFA's rankings, and they topped their Euros qualifying group, which had Slovenia, Finland, and Kazakhstan in it. So I was surprised to see when I was doing all my research that Denmark folks are actually really low on this team right now because of the form that they're in, but also because of the job that the coach has been doing.
I actually wrote something specifically for Denmark in my notes. Let me see here. Oh yeah. Fuck Denmark. That's all I have to say about this team, bro. Yeah, it's actually written down here. I wrote it down. I took the time to write it down because I actually agree with all the Danish people, man. This team is washed. They don't have the same vigor or excitement or energy that they once possessed. And I think that's why I hate this team, because they betrayed me. They let me down, bro. Just like you had high hopes for Serbia in the 2022 FIFA World Cup, I had the exact same high hopes for Denmark going into that tournament. But the thing is, so many other people did too. You just said they had an insane Euro campaign, and then going into that World Cup, bro, they were beating France. They were going up against Europe's best and actually dominating. The form that they were on was so ridiculously high that I couldn't ignore it, and most people couldn't either. And the performance that they gave at the World Cup was stupid, man. It's stupid, man. It made me want to just not even watch football anymore,
why do we watch
bro.
football, bro?
I was like, if you're beating France 3 months prior to that, and you're dominant France, who went to the World Cup final, and you lay an egg in Qatar against a pretty manageable group, honestly, then like, what am I doing?
what are we doing?
Like, my goodness, man. And I can't forgive these Danish players. I really can't, because they possess so much skill. They had so much energy going into this tournament and into that FIFA World Cup tournament. And bro, they were shadows of themselves. Not even shadows of themselves. I don't even know who those players are anymore. And when you look at their qualifying campaign for this Euros, yes, they beat Slovenia, so sure, they have that under their belt going into this group, but it wasn't convincing, man. It really wasn't. They're hot and cold. Throughout an entire 90 minutes, they might have a good 45 minutes, but the next 45 is boring. They don't move the ball quickly, but I think it's frustrating if you're Danish, because there is still really good talent in this squad,
amazing, man.
Yeah, you have Thomas Delaney in the midfield. You still have Christian Eriksen from a veteran perspective. Yusuf Poulsen is still playing top number 9 striking position football. And then at the back, man, I mean, you saw Joachim Andersen, Andreas Christensen. Like, these are top quality center backs. This team has in true, genuine quality, but the way that they play and the way that they've been playing for the last year and a half, it's not exciting. It's not good. Fuck this team.
Kasper Schmeichel as well, Simon Kjær, Norgard from Brentford, or Jensen.
Matthias Jensen.
Yeah, Matthias Jensen, Dolberg. Manchester United's very own Rasmus Højlund getting the opportunity here.
He'll have a big opportunity to make a name for himself,
Yes.
right? Because he had a good season at United, but United as a whole, since it was so down, a lot of players kind of went down with that. I think Højlund is one of those guys, but he has the makings of being a really good striker. This could be a really good opportunity for him.
I agree.
That'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. But also, upon doing research, I came to find what was frustrating the Danish folks so much about the selections from Højlund. And one of the biggest ones was excluding Matthew O'Reilly, who I have never seen play. I was like, who's Matthew O'Reilly? Everywhere I look, Matthew O'Reilly. I can't believe you didn't pick him. 19 goals, 18 assists for Celtic this season. Youngster, claimed to be the heir to Christian Eriksen in the sense of being a very attack-minded forward, in the sense of being a very attack-minded midfielder, doesn't get the call whatsoever.
Yeah.
When you look at Denmark and the midfielders, they don't really have that many attack-minded midfielders with guys like Højbjerg, for example. And the offensive players, I don't think they have it in them to carry that weight with Jonas Wind, Lindstrom, Darami, Dolberg, Poulsen. They don't have to go off this tournament for any success to be had. And the fact that they're all pretty young as well outside of Poulsen, I would say, I don't know if it's enough to trust in them to be able to, compete against top teams like England, for example, who's in this group. The thing is, it is pretty weak. The rest of the group is pretty weak. I think it's enough to get by Serbia and Slovenia, but that's it. That's it. I think getting out of this group is their biggest achievement. I can't believe I'm instilling faith in them getting out of the fucking group once again. But here we are. I think they get knocked down in the round of 16 pretty easily, and that's the end of the Danish story.
Dude, yes. I have nothing to add there. Denmark have enough to compete in this group, except against England. They're a solid squad at best, which is, it's good. That means they're at par with Europe's middle tier. They can punch above their weight sometimes, but they just haven't really shown to do that anymore. I think they've peaked, and if the manager's not trying to instill new talent into the squad, then I think you're just going to get a stale, same result that you've been getting this last year and a half. So, yeah, round of 16, no further than that for Denmark.
What's the biggest positive of Denmark? What is it?
I just think it's the talent that they have. Because, again, Anderson and Christensen are truly top-quality center backs. Yes, Kasper Schmeichel, this will be his last Euros, by the way. He's getting up there in age. So this will be a really cool kind of send-off for him. I could see him trying to play his heart out in between the sticks. And then, of course, Christian Eriksen's the veteran for this team. He still plays good football. And honestly, I was never the biggest fan of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, but what he did for Tottenham this year, pretty solid. He's very good on the defensive end of things, and I think he has become a better passer over these last couple of years in England. You have a good player in him as well, so that's the good thing about Denmark is the individual quality. I just think when you put it all together, it just doesn't really work right now.
And so to round out Group C, we both have England and Denmark in first and second. Where we differ is with Serbia and Slovenia. I have Slovenia in third, Serbia in fourth. You have Serbia in third, Slovenia in fourth. Let us know in the comments, guys, where you stand on this group. Group D consists of France, Austria, Poland, and the Netherlands, my friend. Four really interesting teams here to round it out. Why don't we start with France?
Yeah.
Why don't we just start with France,
Sure.
a team that has gone to 3 international finals in the last 8 years, led by Didier Deschamps, who has been at this team now for 12 full years and has established himself as France's premier coach, ranked number 2 in the FIFA World Rankings after coming in second at the FIFA World Cup against Argentina. This team is ridiculous. This team is ridiculous. I say it every time that we talk about French football. It is incredible, the level of talent and the level of depth that they have right now in this moment. You have names like Kylian Mbappé, Marcus Thuram, Kolo Muani, Antoine Griezmann, Olivier Giroud, Dembele, Chouameni, Camavinga, Saliba, Konate, Theo Hernandez, Mike Maignan.
Keep going.
Just a few names. Just a few names because I could keep going so far as to point out the exclusions that they had, which are even crazier with guys like Michael Olise not getting picked, and Nkunku not getting picked, Guendouzi, Disasi, Mateta from Crystal Palace, Moussa Diaby, man, not getting picked, Malo Gusto as well. The list just goes on for France, bro. And I even really touched on their bench, honestly. The list goes on. It truly is incredible what this team is capable of putting together when it comes to that starting 11. And it's going to be dope to see the one and only N'Golo Kante back as part of the squad.
Crazy that he got called up, but what you mean crazy?
It's
You're not with it? It's crazy, man, because he's just been gone for so long at club level. As far as actual impact, actual importance. But he's still a great player, and he's still playing good football in Saudi Arabia. So I actually do like that he got called up. Whether he makes a genuine playing time, I'm not so sure. But maybe we do see him. But I need to see France dramatically fail. Otherwise, they're title contenders, And the 3 out of 4 finals appearances in the last 4 major tournaments, that simple fact alone, I just can't go against that. France have been one of the best, the top international team for the last decade. And until they dramatically fail like Germany, like Spain once did, like Argentina, Brazil once did, I can't go against France. I can't. Their team is just too good. The base level of France, their starting 11, is better than 95% of all international teams. They don't even need to be in good form. They just need to show up for an international tournament, recognize the amount of talent that they have, and then they just pop off. That's what France does. It's what they've done for the last 10 to 12 years. And they're just in insanely good form. They did have a weird Euros last time out, but sandwiched in between that was 2 World Cup finals appearances, and one of them was actually winning the World Cup. So it's just like, this France team is too damn good.
What happens? What happens if this time around they get kicked down the round 16 once again? What does that mean to you? 2 consecutive Euro round of 16 exits.
For me, it wouldn't mean much unless they have another bad tournament in the World Cup in 2026. I need to see consistent failure for me to be like, all right, this France team is actually on a genuine decline.
I think I agree with that. Looking at the team and the depth, it's just so elite that it leads me to this question that I love to know from the folks at home and then also from yourself. Because this team is so stacked, because it's so filled with so many great players, who would you list, who would you characterize as the most important player on this team? Is it as simple as picking the best player in Kylian Mbappé? Or is there a man behind the scenes that maybe should get a little bit more credit, like an Antoine Griezmann, for example, who shows up incredibly well for the French team at the international level?
Yeah, and this will most likely be Antoine Griezmann's last Euros. He might make the next one in 4 years' time, but he'll have a completely different role. He's still right at the end of his prime, so his skill level, his technique is still elite, and I think he can have a major impact at this tournament, but I gotta go Mbappé, man. His appearances at the last 2 World Cups, they've just been too good, and he shows up every single time. And I mean, getting a hat trick, a historic hat trick in a World Cup final, only done one other time, that's something you just can't ignore. He shows up for when he wears this French jersey, and I think he's going to show up once again. He is France's most important player because let's say Griezmann's having a tough time in the midfield, like he did against Argentina. Let's not forget, Griezmann had a bad finals appearance in the last time World Cup. It was Mbappe who ultimately said, all right, I'm going to take this shit into my own hands and get these goals for my country. And this is the skill set that Mbappe possesses. For me, he's definitively France's best player.
I think that's a great shot. It has to be. I think there's guys like Olivier Giroud who also put in really good performances at the international level, but I would also say this is probably going to be his last Euros as well, man, as he's leaning towards the end of his career. But Mbappe, bro, I think there really is just 3, max 5 players in the world that can change a game by their own volition in the way that Kylian Mbappe does. I think names like Lionel Messi, Neymar at his peak were guys that could do it. I think Mbappe is part of that conversation now with the performance he's put in. He's a historic player in these international tournaments, and I'm excited to see him pop off at this Euros once again, given that the last Euros was a disappointment for himself. Let's go full throttle here now that he's signed with Real Madrid as well. His confidence, his momentum, everything's just gonna be looking really good for him going into this tournament. So I think he's gonna be incredible. Looking at the midfield and defense for France, what would you say is the weakest point for this team if you're looking to play devil's advocate or looking to take advantage of a weak point in the squad?
I guess who's going to be the center back partner alongside William Saliba is...
That's it? That's it, bro?
That's a luxury, man. It's a hell of a luxury because if you look at right back, you have Jules Koundé, and he's been phenomenal in that position at FC Barcelona. He's one of the best defending right backs. Okay, you're good there. Left back, if you play Theo Hernandez, he's one of the most offensive fullbacks in the world. You're good there. Saliba, well, we know how good he's been with Arsenal, man. He's been one of the best center backs in the Prem. The question really is, who's it going to be right next to him? Honestly, I don't know who Deschamps is going to pick. I mean, he could pick Konate. I think that would be the best shout. It would have been Upamecano, but I don't know, man.
Lived up to it, man.
Yeah, he hasn't lived up to it. I think he's had just honestly not a good season at Bayern. Yes, he's had good moments, but he has proven himself to be too mistake prone. If you play Upamecano, you are guaranteeing yourself for him to make a mistake.
Yeah.
So I just think, like, all right, that'd be a little sketchy to play him. I don't know. I just think it's Saliba for sure, but then other than that, it gets a little weird.
I think if you have a healthy Konate, you gotta go with Konate, man. I think that'd be just a really good, solid, reliable center back pairing that you have right there for yourself. And this whole team, I think it really is tough to find a weak point, if I'm being honest. I have France going to the final.
Yeah.
I have them going to the final. I have that as their potential, and I could see them very, very easily lifting the title here at the 2024 Euros in Germany. I could see that, man. I really could. I think that's their potential, is tournament champions going into it. I don't need to be convinced after 2 or 3 games and see them like gain chemistry, like how I do at Germany, for example. For France, I know right off the bat they are title contenders, and they'll be one of the favorites to lift the trophy.
Yeah, truly form does not matter with this side. I agree with you. I'm applying the same pressure that I'm applying to England. This team is a title contending team. They should go all the way. Minimum, this team should make a semifinals appearance. What I'm really interested to see, though, is that this France team, for as much success as they've seen over these last 10 years, they have not won a Euros, right? They got excruciatingly close in 2016 against Portugal, but they've kind of underwhelmed, right, at 2020. So I think this batch of players recognize, hopefully, that, all right, let's get ourselves a Euros, man. I know Griezmann would love one. I know Mbappe would love one. I know Giroud would love one. Tchouaméni, Adrien Rabiot, all of these players would love to grab themselves a Euro title, man. And I'm hoping that they have a good tournament, but they have to. Their quality is too good. They're going to have a good tournament.
Yeah, what was the last time they won? I think it was in 2000 with Zidane. I think it was the last time they lifted this tournament. So, yeah, I agree. Like, they have to have this trophy as part of their trophy cabinet to really solidify the greatness and the heights of this French team that we've seen in the past 8 years. It's been so incredible. The World Cup truly represents that, but they do need that continental trophy of the Euros to be able to just maximize their trophy cabinet, for being honest. Let's have some fun with this now, bro. Who gets second place in this group? Who gets second place? We have a feisty Austrian side coached by Ralf Rangnick. You have a Polish team, who I'm not even going to try to be optimistic about. They're getting fourth. And you have the Netherlands, a Dutch side led by Ronald Koeman. Who do you have getting second?
I might go with a little surprise here and say Austria gets second place, man.
What's the argument?
Here's the argument. They're in very good form right now, similar to Hungary, in my opinion, and also very similar to Hungary. What makes Austria so great is that they are a collective unit. It isn't one singular player that's a standout for Austria. It really is how the midfield and offensive line work with each other. This Austrian team is a club football team disguised as an international team, bro. Seriously. Dude, they run like a Bundesliga team. And they have a German coach in Ralf Rangnick, and he employs like a classic Bundesliga press, and they work it to perfection. In their last friendly against Turkey, 8 out of the 11 starters all played in the Bundesliga. So they really do emulate that kind of club German style of football. And the thing is, though, is that it works. This is not a team of stars. This is a team of players who know their exact role. And when you look at the quality, well, it's Bundesliga quality, man, which is, you know, top 3 league in the world. So we're not messing around here when we're talking about Austria. I'm really excited to see this team kind of pop off here. They showed good promise 3 years ago at the Euros. I think that was the beginning of this Austrian side kind of forming themselves to be a good threat in Europe. And dude, since then, since they got Ralf Rangnick, they've not stopped progressing their level of play. I'm very impressed by what I see and how they play and how they approach every single game. They have a really free-flowing offense because they get the ball